Here's Purdy with a lot of time. Steps into one. Launching deep. Going for Brandon Aiyuk. It is. Oh, he caught it off the ricochet. Penalty. Is he in?
Live from Radio Row at Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, this is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
Here's Kansas City from the 19, throwing at the goal line, and it's caught by Kelce for the touchdown.
Our coverage of Super Bowl 58 is brought to you by Allen Samuels House of Travel, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, TexasBeefHouse.com, IdealMRI.com, Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine, Marco's Pizza, Rogue Media, Camille Johnson Realtors, The Tyler Candle Company, United Nissan.
Third down. Four-man rush. Purdy in some trouble. Escapes. Looking for the first down. He's got it and more. Brock Purdy with the legs inside the 30.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at UnitePrivateNetworks.com.
2nd and 10 to the end zone again, and it is intercepted. Intercepted by Deion Bush, who just came in 2 plays ago for Mike Edwards.
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
All right, here we go on 365 Sports, the second of the 5 days at NFL Media Headquarters, Radio Row, inside offset of the Mandalay Bay in the Convention Center. And we are here for the next 3 hours and again all throughout next week. And today, former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue. Also today on the show, Barry Odum, the head coach at UNLV, around the corner. We'll also hear from Chiefs Hall of Famer in the Kansas City Hall of Fame, Nick Lowry, the kicker, Zach Gelb of CBS Sports, John McClain, and also Chris Hummer, who wrote an interesting article with 247 Sports about really what do athletes get with their NIL. He talked to, I think it was 15 players, college football players who are highly ranked, and what they get from what they get to what they can get more of, or what happens if, in fact, they hit the transfer portal. A couple of things. Thoughts and prayers for Gil Brandt and the family. Gil Brandt passed away, of course, back in 2023. A legend, Cowboys Hall of Famer, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Made me think about him when I had something come up in my reminders that this would be the first Super Bowl he has not been to, and I can't remember when.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. And
a staple of Radio Row at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best radio guests you can have. Steel trap of knowledge to the very, very end.
Yep.
Gil Brandt. And we do certainly miss him here. And so do the people who have brought extra swag because they knew Gil was going to be here. There's going to be a lot of extra stuff, and I say that with love.
Yes.
Gil knew where the good stuff was, and he
was not afraid to ask for it.
No, he was not afraid to ask for it. But also, if you got in the circle like we did, he would tell you also where to go get it.
Yes, no, he was. He was great. By the way, up on our table today, thanks to Emery and Garrett, both here as well to help run and they supervise 365 Sports. A couple of sponsors. You hear Tyler Candle Company, the votives, the wash. The product that looks like it's like a Jaguar, whatever that might be, that is from our great friend Eric Horton at Tyler Candle Company. Eric, he's been a supporter, loyal, committed sponsor of everything we do when it comes to our Super Bowl coverage. Incredibly gracious and also hospitable. Eric, thank you very much for the product that we've already had people walk up and ask for votives and wash, and the guests will get them too. And also our good friends at Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans, some Macanudos. These are some hellacious cigars right here, thanks to Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne. Now, Mack Rhoades fined. I said he deserved it. He earned it, $25,000. Baylor's come up with an NIL-type incentive with GXG, one of our title sponsors, to pitch in 2,500, whatever, to get the $25,000 to help the Baylor NIL. But Mack Rhoades suspended. He knew it. You could almost read it in Brett Yormark's statement, like, but you cannot criticize officials, even if one of them has been reprimanded, or two of them, or three of them, and we will never know that. You can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird thing in the process, in that all he said, like the thing that got him in trouble, or find in all this is he said that we have to be better at officiating in the league, which is not untrue. Like, it's pretty true. Like, you could say that about any league. Even when they're doing
even
well.
after a hell of a game.
But yeah, because you have to absolutely, do things the right way. And so, yeah, I mean, it's an objectively true statement. Now, it comes on the heels of one of the more questionably officiated games that involved the team that he is in charge of. So, yes, you're going to get fined. I do think that there needs to be a level of where you can talk about these things. I think the NBA was very afraid of Mark Cuban because he wasn't afraid to criticize the officiating and say, like, this is wonky. Like,
right.
Let's just not be wonky. And then guess what? You had at least one official who was on the take.
Yeah.
So, you have those things, and I get that you don't want them to come out, but bottom line is that, sunlight's the best disinfectant, and sometimes, if I don't think anybody disagrees with what Mack said. I don't think Iowa State would disagree with what Mack said. It's got to be better because
TJ though said, I thought it was a great fish he did.
I know, but
I get that.
But you spin around again, the wheel of bad officiating is going to fall on everybody. It's not like, I know there are fans that think this team gets all the calls, this team gets none of the calls. And yes, when you have a better home court advantage, most of the time you get more calls because, it's intimidating, it's loud, it can really affect the officials. That's a big deal. But again, there's no grand conspiracy against your team. It's not how it works.
They don't wake up.
The wheel comes to everybody, sometimes less for others.
Saturday night looked like somebody woke up Saturday morning going, I don't like Scott Drew. Last night, college basketball. Kansas State in overtime. Jerome Tang is 11-0 in overtime as the head coach at Kansas State. Got Baylor earlier this year in overtime. It was a very competitive game. I thought KU had it a couple of different times, but K-State was scratching and clawing and came back to win that game. So what does that mean? Houston now above everybody by half a game at 6-3, and then Baylor, Texas Tech, Iowa State, all 5-3. Baylor and Texas Tech tonight at the Foster Pavilion on, of course, I-35 in Waco. KU 6-4, TCU right after that 5-4, and then everybody about 500. Kansas State now 5-5, and BYU at 5-5.
And guess what? On Saturday it'll shake up again.
Yes, because
and on Monday it'll shake up again. And then Tuesday and Saturday it'll shake up again. That's how it's going to be all year long. It's how it's going to be.
R.I.P. Toby Keith. We're going to have Barry Odum, the head coach at UNLV, home momentarily. I did not know, but he had been battling cancer. It's a hateful disease. It's just disgusting when you get it, if you've had it or know somebody else who has. So R.I.P. to Toby Keith. Huge college sports fan. He passed away today at the age of 62 fighting cancer. So R.I.P. to Toby Keith. Was a huge Oklahoma fan. Huge Oklahoma fan. And so wanted to tell you about that too. We'll have Barry Odum from UNLV momentarily. Paul Tagliabue, former NFL commissioner on Vets to Vote, and also helping find volunteers to help with the running of any of the elections. Zach Gelb, who is one of the guys that really gave us a lot of insight when it comes to Matt Rhule, now at Nebraska, but when he came to Baylor, who's doing his show on CBS Sports Radio about maybe 40 yards away from us. He's going to join us when he's done today at 5 o'clock Central Time. And Hall of Famer John McClain will join us today at 5:30 here on 365 Sports. We do appreciate everybody that's a part of what we do every single day on 365 Sports. And as I mentioned, the sponsors, including Alan Samuels' House of Travel. Thanks to what they've done, Bambi SQ, and also Bill Denton for putting together so much of what we have here on 365 Sports. We got him. We're now joined by UNLV football coach Barry Odum. With us, we're in Vegas. Barry, of course, at UNLV around the corner. Coach, thank you very much for your time. What has it been like to have the biggest game in not sports? The World Cup is a much bigger event overall, but to have the biggest game in your backyard?
Good to be on with you guys. Thanks so much for having me on. I think anytime over your career that is based around the sport of football, you want to be at the pinnacle and at the center of that. For us, at the collegiate level, you want to get in the playoffs and the national championship. But then everybody dreams and aspires to be at the NFL, and then once you're there, have a chance to play in the mecca of all games in the Super Bowl. So for us to have that opportunity to host it as a city is unique. Number one, the buzz, you can feel it already in the city. We have a lot of events here, obviously. Formula One here was earlier in the year. We had the Pro Bowl last year, all the different concerts that are here. It's the sports entertainment of the world. And for us to be able to host the Super Bowl, it's very exciting. We look for our university and our football program. We're hosting the 49ers are at our complex this week, and that's exciting for our team to be able to see that. And I think we've got one of the finest football facilities in all of college football. And for it to be on display this week with the weight room and the locker space and all the different things we have, it's a great statement for our program.
Coach, your team this year played fantastic all season long. You're really unified. You played tough games. You were able to come through kind of all of it and really put yourself on the scene, and people notice what's going on at UNLV. What was the key to doing that and gelling as a team so quickly in this season?
Well, I think number one, it starts with our players. We had a really talented roster at a number of spots. Those guys galvanized together and keep getting better. They kept getting better each week. I thought we had physical and mental toughness. We played with great resolve and together. Special teams was a huge factor for us in a positive way. Offensively, we went through a stretch of scoring 40 points or more. I think we hit that 6 or 7 times throughout the year. And then on the defensive side, we were opportunistic. We were second in the country in takeaways forced. And those things combined, early on, it was built on hope, vision, and belief. And then as you got into the season, some of those things that we talked about, the offseason, the habits, and all the different things that go into it, you start winning and things become validated at that point. We've got a strong locker room that's come back. We were a young team last year. We've made some nice additions to our roster and certainly look forward to the challenge of what comes up in 2024.
Does having the transfer portal make it easier or more difficult to build a roster?
I think everybody wants to, I'm a traditionalist in the game of college football. And, when it first started, it's like, oh, this is terrible. And whatever you're going to look at it, doesn't really matter. It's here to stay. So we've used it as a great advantage and I would say even an equalizer for us. We've unfortunately lost some players in the portal, but our stance as a coaching staff and mine as the head coach, if we lose a player either through graduation or they decide to transfer, it's our job as coaches to upgrade that position. And if you do that creatively, you can put together a very, very talented roster.
Well, it does. It giveth and it taketh away, and I guess it just depends on your outlook on it of how you're going to move forward, Coach. Because there are so many challenges you have to deal with. If you throw another negative on the fire, it's not going to help you, is it?
No, it's not. And at the end of the day, nobody cares. It's about results. And are you going to win? Are you going to graduate your players and all the things that go along with that? It's still, in my opinion, it's a relationship-driven business. And, that's in recruiting, that's in donor relations, that's in everyday work environment, that's in building the culture of your team and your organization. When you're aligned with that vision and we're all in this together to try to be the best at everything that we do, then you start making progress. And those progress, those habits, those things show up on game day, and they're exemplified in the way that you play on those 3.5 hours on Saturday. And then at the end of the year, you're judged, did you win enough or not? And bottom line, that's the business that we're in.
Barry, I know that you have a great relationship with Mack Rhoades from your time at Missouri and where he is now at Baylor.
Yeah.
Did you notice your good friend got fined by the Big 12? Did you text him about that?
I don't think I can even make a comment on that. I don't want any fines coming this way. I know this. Mack is not only a tremendous leader, but I consider a very close friend. And he is as competitive of anybody that I've ever been around. And he's going to stand up for his coaches, for his teams, for his programs. That's who he is. And, he was in the chair of the AD position when they hired me at Missouri. And unfortunately, we only got to work together about 8 months because then he took the Baylor job, and it's had great success. And he we'll continue to do so there. And I know that, what matters when you have a great leader and there's a line in your vision, great success follows, and that's what he's done everywhere he's been.
He said to me, Barry Odum, I love Barry Odum and his family, no nonsense, loves his players, tough on them, demands a lot of them and the staff. We navigated through some difficult times together at Missouri, could not have asked for any better partner during that time. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think that means a great deal because I respect Mack, and he knows what we took over when we both started there, and we know what we were starting to build together. And I feel the same about Mack and his wife and daughter. They're tremendous people, and so fortunate we had a chance to work together for a short time. And again, our friendship will go on forever.
Barry, you have what now is college football's crazy in a lot of ways, but the realignment, that's kind of fractured some traditions that are gone now. And conferences I think it's constantly in turmoil. How does that, in your opinion, with a group of 5 conference, do you worry about what the future holds, or you could only worry about right now?
Well, I think it's always changing and forever will be. I mean, I'm used to the Big 8 days, and obviously that in Southwest Conference days, and then the Big 12. I would challenge a number of people to sit down and try to write down who's in every conference, because I don't think you could do it. I'm not saying you. I think this is the general population. We know that for us, my goal for UNLV is to put us on the national stage. With the expanded playoffs going to 12 teams, we've got to position ourselves. We've got the opportunity. That's our goal. We want to be in the playoffs, and whatever the conference affiliation was, we're very, very excited about the brand of the Mountain West Conference. It's one of the most stable brands in all of college football. Last year was our 25th year. We got some really good teams and great coaches and tremendous leadership in this conference. And I think when the conference championships, when they finish out next December, the champion of our league should have a strong voice in who makes it to the playoffs.
Coach, I don't think you'd be far off in saying that the two of us couldn't figure out who is in every conference either, and we do this every day. So
you and I definitely could. Yeah. Joe on the street, good luck.
But Coach, the calendar is a big issue for coaches. I every time we have a coach on, I like to ask him, but that third week in December, if you're in a bowl game and you have early signing day, and that's when the transfer portal is open a little before then, but by that time is when people are starting to kind of make their decisions because they've had 8, 9, 10 days to take a couple of visits, and you've had to host people and lock down your class, all the while preparing for a very big game, an important game that's going to showcase your team on national television. How do you fix that? Because that's an amount of work that no human being should have to do in 1 week.
Well, I think that we've worked towards what maybe is a more beneficial calendar for everyone. And at this point, that's what we are dealt with. That's the hand that we've been dealt. I don't know that there is an easy answer to any of it. I know that there's committees together that are trying to find and navigate through that to make it a little more friendly for all involved. I just don't know, because we're going to continue to have early signing. The bowl games are going to be when they are. And then through the transfer, you got to give kids and student athletes, you got to give them opportunities if they're going to go somewhere else to have a chance and a say when to do that. So there's a number of moving parts. The game of college football has been strong for over 100 years. And my guess is we'll make some changes. There'll be some things that are adjusted a little bit. But forever, it'll be a month now in the month of December that is probably the busiest. If you're not busy in December, that means you didn't have a very good year, and you're probably on the move anyway.
Barry, I know you have only a little bit more time with us. We appreciate what you've done already to spend it with us. What is more intense, Barry Odum, the football player, or Barry Odum, the head coach?
You need to come watch us practice. I don't know. I mean, there's moments that, I enjoy the game. I enjoy preparing and building a roster. I like the opportunity to do that. I think everybody that has some level of success has competitive spirit about themselves, whether you're a player or not a player or a coach. I think those things always will continue to drive our program. I mean, we talk about there being a winner and a loser every single day in everything we do. And that's from the academic work that we do in the classroom that has everything to do with part of the culture of our program. So as a player, that was one way that I found my way on the field, was the ability to prepare and play with intensity. And I think that's a little bit of the brand of what we have as our program now.
Barry Odum, head coach at UNLV, with us on 365 Sports as we get close to what is tomorrow with National Signing Day. I know you can't get into that, but is coaching at the college level now, I don't want to say more difficult, but is it more stressful because of everything that seems to be going on at once now?
I think, the game has changed, and with the transfer world, it's changed dramatically. The portal has created that. We've created it as coaches. There's a short window of time that you have an opportunity to try to mentor and build young men into great productive members of society. You feel the ownership in that. And then, we all have a set amount of minutes in the day, and how well can you use those? Those are stressed to the core at this point. Has it become more difficult? I would say yes. That would be an accurate statement. It's also, a lot of it depends on the staff that you have, the alignment and the vision, the moving parts that everybody's got a role to do, and how important that is for an organization to be successful. And then every day you wake up and you understand that it's not going to go completely by script. So you've got to be a great problem solver. You've got, in our case, we've got 110 on our roster. We've got 110 sons that I've got to make sure that I do every single thing for them today to provide them the opportunity to be successful. And if you do that, you do it consistently, then you got a chance to have a successful team.
Barry, thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. It's great to be in Vegas. Good luck to you moving forward, and great knowledge and insight on what's happening with college athletic. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the week.
Yes, sir. Barry Odum, head football coach at UNLV. And you can hear, and you knew, but we'd never talked to Barry Odum before. And now his thoughts about – we have?
Yeah, back when he was in Missouri. We were at the boat place.
The boat place?
We were at Marina Waco Yamaha. We had him on the show.
Barry Odum?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He was in Mizzou. Okay. Well, that's a long time ago.
It is.
That's like before 16, right?
Yeah.
Good gosh. So, Barry Odum, with the respect level professionally and personally that he has for Mack Rhoades, and also vice versa with Mack, nice comments about Barry, and he chuckled about the fine. Goes, I don't know if I can say anything about that either. So we appreciate him. Hey, coming up just around the corner, Chris Hummer will join us. He is with 247 Sports and wrote an article about the NIL and talked with about 15 athletes. What do they get? How much a month? How much is guaranteed? How can they get less or more? How can they leave? What happens to their NIL? A lot of questions that we've always asked, and maybe now get some answers from him on the article that he has written. I think I went over almost everything that was tonight basketball. We mentioned Tech and Baylor. Oklahoma State is playing at Houston. Iowa State at Texas. BYU at Oklahoma. And then I mentioned also Texas Tech at Baylor. Have I mentioned that K-State beat KU yet?
Yeah, you've mentioned it. You mentioned it.
It's a big win for them.
It is a huge win for them. And, Kansas having trouble on the road. And, they're a team whose starting five is talented enough to be, in the game. When you're on the road in a situation like that, now look, I think that the way Kansas State had been playing they just lost to Oklahoma State. They've lost 4 in a row. They're reeling as a team. Yes, you get to go back home on Big Monday. But if it was Big Monday against Texas, I think they still would have lost. But the perfect formula to get that place juiced up and everybody refocused is the mighty Jayhawks coming in, off of a big win of their own. So, whether you want to call it a trap game for Kansas or just, I mean, the trap is not like that they weren't going to be ready for it. The trap is like you're walking into a place that's desperate for a win, hates your guts, and is going to be loud and ready to go because if this one gets away, then there's going to be some probably emotional rebuilding that Jerome Tang has to do that's maybe even bigger than he would had they lost to Tech or UCF or something like that. Like that, it's just going to be different because this is a rivalry game. So yeah, it was just this huge win for them last night. Jerome Tang in overtime. I don't know if you guys were watching the game when you saw it, but we all saw it when they cut away to him and then went to overtime. He was clapping and smiling. He had this wry grin on his face. He loves extra basketball. Loves it.
He's 11-0 now.
He's 11-0. And it's, I mean, there are some coaches that are like, why do we have to go 5 more minutes tonight? And maybe Bill Self felt that way. I don't know. But, like, it was just, the Jayhawks were in some severe foul trouble. I mean, everybody who, 3 or 4 starters had 4 fouls, and 2 of them fouled out, towards the end of the game. And, the Kansas's problem is that they just don't get much. This is the last 2 years. They don't get much from their bench. And the guy they brought in to be their 6th man, Nick Timberlake, has not been that. I mean, he's the sixth guy off the bench, but he's given them nothing offensively, which is, they hired the guy to shoot. Like that's what they did, and he's not shooting.
Bill Self in that game came off the bench almost a foot or 2 onto the court. Had to be, I don't know about restrained, but his coaching staff tried to at least buffer him a little bit. He was upset with a call or a lack of one. And I didn't see any technical fouls, and I don't think there should have been one. But that just goes back to, again, today Mack was fined $25,000. And Brett Yormark, writing that, he knows he had to write it. Probably somebody else wrote it for him. And at the end, he kind of said, and thank you for handling this as well as you did. I love you, but I have to fine you.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, look, it's different every time. And look, Bill Self also probably didn't run up against an official who, for whatever reason, was irritated by Scott Drew's joy. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like, that's a great way to put it. Yeah. How can you be so happy I'm going to ruin your night?
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, it's like beating up Big Bird. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
It's just, like,
or booing Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's
what Eagles fans.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's just how it goes.
I think that we should probably get Jerome Tang on the show somewhat quickly, if not today, tomorrow, just because it was such a great win, and love to hear from him. I texted him last night, late at night, just gave him a thump, He thumped me back, Paul.
I know. Look, you're going to do what you want to do, and I can't stop you, but
he's a friend of ours.
He is a very good friend of ours.
That's a huge win.
Yes, it is.
And I was giving him a fist bump.
Yes. No, I'm agreeing with that.
What are you complaining about that?
I just know that, like, there'll be repercussions for me.
That I sent Jerome Tang a fist bump.
That we get him on the show and talk about that game.
God,
there'll be repercussions. I mean, I'm willing to stand up and take them. But I just want you to know.
So we shouldn't get Jerome Tang on this show because of your fear.
We should absolutely do it. I'm just telling you that there's going to be a little bit of,
Paul is compromised by Bracket Cat. Paul is compromised.
Look, I'm willing to tell you, yes, I'm,
I was asked, by the way, was there any, are there any remaining symptoms or any backlash for me inhaling the brain water? I didn't sleep that much. I was wired, but no, I slept like a baby. I'm fine. I really. I'm not so sure that's not another option of how to do that.
I'll just tell you, I've had 3 so far in the last couple days, and they're very good.
No, they're really good. And mine's cucumber lime.
A lot of times you put these powdery deals in a bottle of water, and you pretty much do what you did yesterday, just kind of chew the drink down.
Yeah.
And which makes what you did even dumber yesterday because it's very soluble.
It's very much, yeah. But we got it done. All right, around the corner, we'll hear from Chris Hummer, 247 Sports, on where we are. One other college football note, let's come back with that, is remember there was a concern among a lot of the teams in the Power Fives about the college football revenue. The additional revenue that was promised to SMU by joining the ACC, and then SMU paid for all the other stuff, or basically just not getting revenue elsewhere when it comes to the conference itself. But they were told they were going to get a $6 million hit in a good way, a chunk of the college football playoff expansion format, etc. And then all of a sudden there were stories that no, some conferences or schools didn't want SMU to get that piece. Do they? Did they? How close to what they were promised is it? We'll have that and more next on 365 Sports, and we're live in Vegas.
Allen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Allen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
This is 365 Sports.
The Sikkim 365 app is brought to you by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
In Vegas, Super Bowl 58, Radio Row NFL Media Headquarters. Here tonight until 6. Paul Tagliabue around the corner, former NFL commissioner among others. And thanks again for Barry Odum, UNLV, for stopping by and saying hi to us and talk about the Rebels and much more that they have at UNLV. One quick college football note, then Chris Hummer, and we'll get Chris's comment. The College Football Playoff Management Committee unanimously agreed upon an undisclosed amount of money for incoming ACC member SMU that will go to the conference. They were told like $6 million. Then all of a sudden it was only going to be $1 million. Well, they've ironed it out. It's going to be probably somewhere around $6 million. Or between $1 and $6 million, whatever it is, it's going to be more than $1 million. It'll be closer, most likely, to $6 million that they will get for being a part of the ACC now that the format has expanded. Chris Hummer, your thoughts about that? Did the college football people do it right?
I mean, if you're SMU, they did it right. I think it's probably the fairest thing to do, given that SMU walks in that situation and SMU already being in a pretty big hole. From a rights perspective, was counting on that many to survive over the next couple of years. So to take that away from them, I think would have been pretty crippling.
You wrote an article that a lot of us have probably asked, and I've tried to ask a few athletes about NIL or whatever, and most of them, because they're worried about it being public or whatever, which would be anonymous, they're not quite so free with the information. But you wrote an article that everybody probably can't wait to read, and if they haven't, they should. How real is NIL? Anonymous recruits in college football's 2024 class, dish on collectives, contracts, and more. What was perhaps out of everything you learned something that was surprising to you?
I think I don't know about surprise. I think it's surprising that at this point, collectives and people on the school side of things are starting to negotiate in essentially opt-out clauses for transfers. The transfer portal and NIL going at the same time have created unprecedented landscape in college football. And I think it's interesting that essentially contracts are void once a player enters the transfer portal in this era. Not shocking if you think about how contracts usually work in employment, but it's just a wrinkle of the process now that I think is a lot different. The actual numbers themselves weren't particularly shocking to me, but I hope people found them interesting.
How do players feel about the way that it is regulated, not regulated, the hoops that they have to jump through, or like Smokey said, even the stigma that comes with it, even though it's legal, it still feels to a lot of people like there's something wrong?
Well, I think, frankly, most 17 and 18-year-olds are happy to have an extra like $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year in their pocket. I mean, I think a lot of adults would be thrilled to have that much money a year in their pocket. So from that perspective, I think it's fine. I think depending on who you ask, athletes would like to be employees or they wouldn't. I don't think there's a consensus around that. I think a lot of the recruits I talked to were a little leery of eventually becoming employees of the university because you lose a little control in that way of doing things, essentially. The way it is right now, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West. I know that term is overused, but schools and athletes have a lot of freedom that they wouldn't have any more employment-based system. So I think the reactions from athletes on that perspective are a little more mixed.
So when you look at the NIL, let's go with some of the basic thoughts about it. There were thoughts that A&M had a $30 million NIL roster. There were thoughts that somebody was getting $13 million individually. Did those get blown out, the holes blown in those theories?
Well, the A&M rumor was always ridiculous. I think it originated with a poster online called Sliced Bread. Jimbo Fisher allowed him to rise to fame by mentioning that during National Signing Day. But that was always way off base. And I think you see that in some of the values here. There is one recruit in this article that is making around $1 million a year, but that is far less common than I think people believe. I would say you could probably count on maybe your fingers and toes the amount of $1 million players there are in college athletics, college football specifically. It is not a common thing. High-end quarterbacks can demand that much, and really, really special high school recruits can occasionally demand that much, but it is not a commonality. So in order to get a 2022 recruiting class of $30 million, you would have to pay essentially every player in that class $1 million, which just isn't happening. I would say it's significantly less than a third of that number. But I think what you are seeing based on this article is, like, in order to be competitive in the upper end of college football, your annual NIL value needs to probably be somewhere over $4 to $5 million a year. Because if you paid every recruit on your roster $75,000 a year, that'd be essentially $6.5 million a year. So you see what it kind of takes right now in college football to be competitive.
Chris, you mentioned, some players being apoplectic about being employees or unsure of that. With the unionization news about Dartmouth yesterday, do you think that will catch fire, or do you think it'll be more of a case-by-case basis, university to university, before there's a gigantic players union of 17 to 24-year-old guys, most of whom probably don't even understand completely how unions work?
Yeah, I think wide-scale collective bargaining will be difficult for college football, especially, I don't think any player will be eager to give up part of their essentially NIL value or whatever to pay union dues like you would in a normal union. But I think over the long term, and when I say long term in college football, I mean like 3 to 5 years, we will get to a place where there is a college athletes union, and we will see collective bargaining between whatever the operating structure is of college football. I get the feeling it'll probably be the college football playoff and players themselves. But in the short term, you might see a couple of unions pop up in place to place, but I don't envision it being one of those things in 6 months where we look up and there are 133 unions in the FBS. I could be wrong, like I have been before with all this college football stuff, but that feels unlikely.
And it just so much has changed in a matter of really just like even COVID. It just the extra year, NIL transfer portal, all of it just came in at one time. Did anybody that you talked with or spoke with about NIL say that they did not ask for it?
Yeah, there's one or two players in the story I quoted that were not interested in NIL, period. It's not something they thought out. And some schools, frankly, still don't really make it part of their pitch, like some contending schools don't make it part of their pitch. It is not in the DNA of every program to be aggressive with NIL, and some schools, frankly, do it the right way, and by the right way in quotation marks, in terms of letting players seek out individual brand deals instead of essentially paying them a salary through a collective. So there are some players that it's not a priority for, but I would say for the majority of players, even if it's not your main priority, it is now part of the conversation in a way that even a year ago at this time, it wasn't really. The best players got some NIL deals, but now it's almost part of like essentially the presentation. Like you care about facilities, you care about academics, you care about contending, you care about the amount of dollars you can bring in, and it's up to every individual about what your priority is in that scale of factors.
You know, in like Baylor, I know Mack Rhoades hates to hear this, but it seemed like that they were slow to pull the trigger and really jump into it. They were coming off the Sugar Bowl, the Big 12 championship, and it didn't seem like they took advantage of that. And now they have an NIL collective in GXG, and everybody's getting something. Well, you know, the 85 whatever players. If you started late, how long does it normally take you to make up? Is it just a matter of how much money people will contribute to it?
Well, these collectives are interesting because essentially you're putting a tax on your fans to be competitive, which is frankly what it is. And some programs have richer fans than others. So it really just depends on how engaged you can make your donor class and NIL. And that's a risky, I mean, this is a different conversation, but it's a risky proposition because I think the 501c status of some of these schools is different than others. And in some cases, these funds will not be forgiven on your taxes. They won't be a write-off. And it's much harder in some cases to get donors to donate to NIL collectives than it would be to facilities where you could just write off as a donation to a university. So I think it's really case by case in terms of how active and how motivated your donor base is. I think we saw Ohio State kick things into a gear they haven't been before this offseason, for example. And I think seeing your rival win a national championship can do that.
Chris Hummer with us, 247 Sports. Did anybody say that if you don't produce, and I read the article, I'm just asking you for the audience too. So if they get an NIL, whatever the money might be, have any of them, or did they hear of anybody that actually lost money based on the guarantee because they did not play enough or play well?
Yeah, I had a couple of recruits in the story say that if they don't play well, their contract can go down potentially when they negotiate the next time around. And then some of these players have multi-year contracts, and some of them have year-by-year contracts that can be renegotiated based on a number of factors. So yeah, absolutely. I think that would be a wake-up call for some players as well, that you don't perform up to expectations and you might not get to keep the deal you had. And I think I can think of several players in the transfer portal this offseason who ended up leaving their programs because their money that they had the previous season wasn't on the table for them again because of a number of factors. So it can lead to upset feelings, and it can lead to changes on a roster pretty quickly if a player isn't as happy with his deal as he was before.
Chris, great stuff. Thank you very much. I'll put your link to the story up in our chat room and also attach it to Twitter here in just a moment. Good stuff. I think it's a story that I think a lot of people would like to write, but you haven't seen it written. And at least I haven't until you actually put it on paper today for 247 Sports. We appreciate your time and good luck.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Bean. Yes, sign a contract, and if you underperform, you don't get paid. Welcome to the real life. No, exactly. But it's almost as if it's a one-way street, that they want it to be a one-way street, that you get NIL money and you don't start, you're the third string whoever, and you don't even have stats. Well, you should still get. Depends on the agreement. Depends on what was said on the agreement. But I agree.
There's going to be
performer don't get paid.
Look, in professional sports, I can sign a free agent contract, and a team can underpay or overpay or whatever based on my performance the previous year. if I'm a high school senior going into college, what I did in high school only matters a little. Like, it doesn't matter because a professional contract, like you saw me hit 35 home runs for the Royals last year. Imagine if I was in the Yankees lineup, I could hit 45.
But what about college players that get big money when they're drafted?
So, but the NFL put a cap on that, right?
Okay,
Remember they did that.
Yeah.
So the NFL did that. But if I'm again, it matters. Like it matters, but it doesn't matter as much as.
But they're getting paid based on what their projection is and what they did in college.
But
are they NFL ready?
But recruiting, the only projection is like there's no rounds, there's just stars, which are arbitrary and given out by organizations who do know what they're doing. I'm not saying they don't, but like it's not the same thing as a first-round draft pick or anything like that. There's not. I mean, I know they're combines, but they're not the same thing. I mean, like it's a different thing altogether. And again, you're also getting guys who are very young and saying like, okay, well, you're 18. We think you're going to be good. Here it is. The performance is not at the same level. That's what I'm saying. So that's why the NFL had to say, look, we can't keep giving the top pick in the draft $60 million to sign his name.
Whatever Bradford's contract.
It's still a really good contract, but it's not. It doesn't matter what happens. Like they're kind of, had to protect themselves from themselves really and set up a scale, because the other thing, the veterans were getting mad at that because they're like, hey, I don't get my renewal, right? I don't have my renewal, my next contract to the team, because unfortunately, even though I was good, they weren't. They had a high draft pick and they had to pay him $45 million to sign, where there went my chance to stay here in Denver, right? And I'm gone. So that's why they changed that rule. And in college, again, you're trying to base some of this stuff off of like, look, I get that you can play some high-level high school football, but just because you won at DeSoto, one of the best high school football programs in the country, does not mean that you're going to make like the starting roster at Alabama. It does not mean that.
Yeah, but they're getting NIL.
And they are. And that's where I think the
a lot of it is on potential.
The collectives have to push back a little bit and put those clauses in, because otherwise you're going to pay, and especially and with the transfer portal as well, you're going to pay a lot of money for a kid who only puts on a jersey. That's it. Like he's just going to stand there.
And this is not a shot at Ewers, but he got a lot of money, whatever that is, to go to Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Took a handful of snaps, got all that, and then goes and gets more because then Texas gets him and he's getting NIL. That's a pretty sweet deal. All of us wish we could have pulled that one off, right? And by the way, his projection, his talent, his potential coming out of South Lake Carroll. I hated that he didn't play a senior year. That's his life, not mine. I almost wish you had that back, but it worked out for him. Stan, it would be really stupid to have incentive-based contracts in college athletics. Put the I back in team. Are those days gone? What would players do if a school said, we're going to give you NIL, we're going to do it, everyone gets an equal share based on how good we are and what we accomplish? They would lose players.
They would lose players.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's hard. You also have to look out for yourself, and that's where the coaches' pushback comes. Like, okay, how good we are and how much we succeed, it's not just on the players.
Right.
That's on the coaches as well. So if you're going to take money away from the coach, it only, like, the only time the coach gives up money is like when Scott Frost agreed to push off some money so he could get one more year. And like they're about to get fired anyway.
Right.
So
he still got paid that year, though.
Yeah, he still got paid that year.
He didn't get all the buyout and stuff like that.
He agreed to something to like make sure that he could have one more shot at it, and that's the only time you see that. Otherwise, the coach would be like, look, fire me, don't fire me, whatever. You're still going to pay me what you owe me.
I wonder if you get to the point where high school students sign NIL collective stuff and they also have a buyout. How about they start having, you want to stop the transfer portal, at least alleviate? Would that not be amazing? You can get this NIL. We're going to pay you NIL, but you have a buyout. If you leave here, you owe us X amount of money. I don't even know if that's legal. I'm just throwing it up as an idea, because why not at least have some ideas?
I mean, I think that could work, but I think you would also have some players who saw the opportunity, and you could say, well, if I'm leaving SMU to go to Bama, and then I'll take the money that I get from Bama and pay it off. Like you're trying to balance it off.
But you do have to write a check to SMU.
It's weird, man.
From Clint Moses, collectives control the marketplace, still underpaid players. Players' union should fight for 100% guaranteed contracts or lockout season. That's more towards the NFL. So there we are with that. Let's see here. Okay, most of that is some player signs NIL deal and gets hurt. What about that early in the year? I would think you're protected by that's almost like a disability claim or a liability. You did not play because of an injury that health insurance at the university is taking care of. So to me, you get what you earned. If you're injured, that's part of the deal. No different than the NFL. When a guy gets hurt, he's still going to get paid his money. All right, in the 4 o'clock hour, former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue. Also, we'll have Nick Lowry. You got players that come through here. They're promoting some business, like yesterday with the Brainwater, thanks to Andrew Zendejo, which that was some pretty good stuff. That I went back. I don't think the puff came on camera. I think you were on a different angle.
I probably switched the angle with the puff. Yeah.
With my face just exploded like I'd been like.
But yes, a puff of the dust came out.
Say hello to my little friend.
No, you know what you looked like is...
I look like Pacino in that movie.
No, I would say it's more when Tom and Jerry,
the cartoon?
Yes, when something happens to Tom, Jerry fools Tom into something and he puts his mouth on a stick of dynamite and it blows up and then he puffs out the smoke. That's what it looked like. It was not as cool as Scarface. Listen,
I want it to be as cool as Scarface.
At the end of he does that. He puts his face in that mountain of cocaine, and then he gets up and has a gigantic gun, and he in no way is seemingly affected by it other than charged up. You were struggling. He wasn't say hello to my little friend.
No, I think I took that well. I think you guys were more upset about it than I was.
No,
Joe Agashi, legit leg kicks. What a name. It's long. But I wrote it. I read it. Excuse me. People are just mad that players, the cattle and horses, get to make some money now, or do what the master farm coaches get to do. And even though that they don't get a piece, they like to see the boys. I know where you're coming from. We've had that ever since NIL first was even mentioned. It has changed so much, and it is going to change tomorrow. It'll change the next day. It's never going to stop.
I've got some interesting sports media news.
What?
From Austin Karp, ESPN, ESPN, Warner Brothers Discovery, and Fox are creating a joint venture with the side set to launch a new pay streaming service in the U.S. that will launch in the fall. The NFL, the World Cup, NBA, and other major properties will be on the service. Remember when ESPN was talking about a streaming service that encapsulated everybody?
Yep.
There you go. And look.
How much is it going to cost? Is it going to offset what's costing me now to get those same?
Oh, nobody wins in this but them.
No, that's what I'm. So I don't know what I get the Amazon Prime, Netflix. I think I even have maybe a Paramount, whatever that might be, and then also, oh, by the way, there's cable, right? And then YouTube TV. So how much is this little library of getting to watch things streaming? And BU with Patrick, we just mentioned it. You break it news. We're talking about it right now. Thank you for putting it up. But ESPN and Fox, aren't they competitors?
Yeah.
Or in this case, will they share the money?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's a joint venture. So everybody's going to do it. And basically they're coming together and,
Who are you typing right now?
What? No.
Are you trying to get the story?
No. Okay, sorry about that. We got an email from our friend Sarah Walters. So, anyhow.
Let's talk about the story.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Let's start with the story. So, they, what a flip, you and me on that same issue. But I think that this is going to be bad for consumers. It's going to cost a lot. If you've got these three companies agreeing to share money, these three companies who don't like each other, remember?
Right.
They don't like each other.
But they're going to share money.
If they're agreeing to share money, it's not going to help us.
Subscribers would get access to linear sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, SEC Network, ACC Network, ESPN News, ABC, Fox, FS1, FS2, Big Ten Network, TNT, TBS, True TV, and ESPN Plus. if you're a sports fan, would you just drop cable and get that?
You're going to have to.
That's all I need. I would literally
how
just
much?
have that.
Okay, how much do you? Let's guess. How much will that cost a month? $59.99.
Probably about 50 to 60.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you get that, you can drop some other things you have, right?
You drop ESPN Plus.
I didn't see Paramount on here.
No. Warner Brothers Discovery.
Okay.
So I would not be surprised. But here's the thing about Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount. There's a potential that they're about to merge, so they might find their way into this as well.
Okay.
Which, again, the government should not allow two companies that large to merge. But guess what? No one cares.
Phone companies do, right?
Everyone does now.
Yeah.
No one stops it.
Sounds expensive from T. Pennington. It'll be interesting. ESPN fixing even more sports. Hulu has ESPN Plus. All right, when we come back, we're going to hear from former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue on Vets to Vote. That and more. We're live in Vegas. This is 365 Sports, and we appreciate your time today.
Allen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Allen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Here's Purdy with a lot of time. Steps into one. Launching deep. Going for Brandon Aiyuk. It is. Oh, he caught it off the ricochet. Penalty. Is he in?
Live from Radio Row at Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. This is 365 Sports. Powered by Sikkim365.com.
Here's Kansas City from the 19. Throwing at the goal line. And it's caught by Kelce for the touchdown.
Our coverage of Super Bowl 58 is brought to you by Allen Samuels House of Travel, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, TexasBeefHouse.com, IdealMRI.com, Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine, Marco's Pizza, Rogue Media, Camille Johnson Realtors, The Tyler Candle Company, United Nissan.
Third down, four-man rush. Purdy in some trouble. Escapes, looking for the first down. He's got it and more. Brock Purdy with the legs inside the 30.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at UnitePrivateNetworks.com.
2nd and 10 to the end zone again, and it is intercepted. Intercepted by Deion Bush. push, who just came in 2 plays ago for Mike Edwards.
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Former Commissioner Paul Tagliabue, NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue with us on 365 Sports in Vegas. Super Bowl 58, the Chiefs and 49ers inside the Mandalay Bay. Commissioner Tagliabue, first of all, it's an honor to have you on the show today. Vet the vote, veterans, and also tackling the election volunteer crisis. How did you get involved in this particular promotion and campaign?
Well, I learned, quite a few years ago that the NFL had its own voting initiative. The teams were emphasizing the importance of voting as citizens, not just in the stadium and the local events, but on network television. And then when Vet the Vote, when We the Veterans was organized 4 or 5 years ago, I heard about it from Troy Vincent and others at the NFL. And I was able to engage a friend of mine, General George Casey, who was the Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army at one point. And so George and I have been very pleased to have the opportunity to be volunteers in an organization which does amazing things. And, we the veterans have emphasized and trying to raise awareness of the importance of voting, but not just the importance of voting, the importance of having trained people and adequate numbers of people to serve as poll workers on election day. Their goal this year is to increase from 65,000 to 120,000 veterans or veteran families who will be volunteering in 2024 as poll workers and poll watchers.
Well, and one of the things is, and I'm sure people watching and listening right now will know that when you go to vote, the election workers in most places are senior citizens, they're older people. So when they, either, can't do it or not available to do it, that's, you're not using a population that's readily available. We do need younger election workers, people who can do this for a long time and have experience in it, don't we?
Well, that's certainly a part of it, but we need more voters in America at all levels, and particularly among young people. We don't fare well compared to other developed societies, democratic societies, in terms of voter turnout. It's somewhere, in the mid-60s, I think, in terms of the percentage of the voters among the total population. Other countries are in the mid-80s and mid-90s. So it's not just the poll workers, but I think when veterans agree to do something as they do with this program, We the Veterans, the public takes notice because many members of the public have served in the military, but they have respect for the patriotism and the values of veterans. And so when a veteran speaks, I think it brings great credibility to the cause and emphasizes the people they should be involved as well.
Commissioner, the NFL has been very heavily involved in the military, all the various branches. How important was that when you were there to make sure that got even more involved with the various veterans and military within the NFL?
Well, it goes back to my predecessor. You mentioned Pete Rozelle. He certainly began the relationship with the USO and other veterans organizations during the war in Vietnam. But we tried to make it a priority. I think we succeeded in that. And it's not just in words, but with actions and people visiting veterans in hospitals and at schools and servicemen and women in Europe and the Mideast. So I think the league has done well, but it takes every citizen to make democracy work the way it should work. And as you pointed out, things can happen like the pandemic, which make it difficult for older people and people who have some medical risk to serve as volunteers. And what We the Veterans is doing is trying to ensure that there's a well-trained and capable force of both volunteer poll workers in 2024.
What do you think the next wave of the NFL is as far as growing their footprint around the world? I mean, we heard yesterday the Eagles are going to open the regular season in Brazil. There are. Do you envision a day where there's a team that's not in the 50 states?
I would think so. Whether it's a member of the NFL or whether it's an affiliated league, the way soccer has grown globally, it's not just one organization, there are multiple organizations. And I can see that the NFL would be the leader and the inspiration and plowing new ground around the globe with local partners. So many of the players from around the world are competing at levels in college football and the NFL. I think it's inevitable. It's just a question of how much time it will take.
Commissioner Tagliabue with us on 365 Sports. So you are, the commissioner is hired by the owners, and yet you have to sometimes make sure they're in their place or they are, their consequences or whatever. What was that like dealing with their egos? They hired you, and yet you had to do what was best for the National Football League overall.
Well, I think it works because it's written in the Constitution and bylaws that the commissioner has that authority. But more important than that, the owners as a group understand that the commissioner has to do that job and that it's not an easy job to do. So when you are making a decision, you can enlist the support of the owners as a group. And so whether you're disciplining one owner or two or three for some reason, or one player or two or three for some reason, the overwhelming majority of owners will be supporting what the commissioner has to say. And I remember instances where someone would say, well, you're only the commissioner and you work for us, and 10 or 15 owners would shout out and say, that's not the case. We work for him, or we all work for each other. So I think it's that we're in this together, think league first, and that's been a big part of the success of the NFL over the decades, and it continues to be part of the success today. So whether Peter O'Neill or Roger Goodell, your authority is strong because you have support of owners as a group.
We've covered the Cowboys for a very long time, and you were the commissioner when Jerry Jones, started his run, owning the Cowboys and doing that. And he was, I guess now in the modern, business vernacular, they call him like a disruptor. He was trying to do different things that the league hadn't done. From what you just said, if we're all in this together, when you have an owner that was trying different things and very bombastic, and Jerry, really has a big ego. And how was that to navigate? Like, these are good ideas that he has, we can apply other places, but also doing it for the good of the league to where everybody's not kind of up in arms.
Well, I think Jerry was an innovator and a good one, and he also was clear when he was seeking things that would change the ground rules, so to speak, in terms of the economic relationship among the teams. So I think that one reason Jerry was successful in producing innovation in various areas was because he was clear about what his goals were, but he was also clear about how to achieve those goals. The real disruptor is the person who has an out-of-the-box idea but has no expectation or no idea as to how to make it real, to make it work for everybody, not just for a few people.
Commissioner, when you look at your career, you're now a part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It took long, a lot longer than most people thought for you to be inducted, but you are a part of the Hall of Fame. What did that mean to you? And I know that there was a delay there because a lot of people would look back at the concussion issue and all that, but you also were part of the Rooney Rule. You also came up with a substance abuse policy. In the end, was that day as special? And did it bother you that it took as long as it did for you to be enshrined, so to speak?
It didn't bother me as an individual. What bothered me was that I thought that our staff, the entire league office staff, the NFL network people, the club people, you're only as good as the 32 teams, or the 28 teams are good. So I felt that we had accomplished a lot as a group, and to some extent it was unfair and inexplicable to have the league office staff, which included, Roger Goodell at that time and other very talented people, Steve Bornstein, Val Pinchuk, some of that, Greg Aiello. They deserve a recognition, and I think that was accomplished by the commissioner being into the Hall of Fame.
Back to Vet the Vote, which is a great deal, to get more voters, to also have more people who can help with the voting process itself. When they came to you and when you were a part of this, what does that mean to you to be a part of this with the election cycle coming up, of course, later on this year?
Well, for me, it was, really critically important because I grew up in a family where voting was taken very seriously. I grew up in New Jersey, New York area, immigrant Italian families. And they appreciated the opportunity of living in America, and that appreciation was translated into voting. If you were an adult in our nation and you didn't vote, you were criticized publicly by the neighbors, and they couldn't understand why you could take advantage of the society we have and the freedoms we have without participating in voting. So that goes back to my time as kids, but today we see the issues in some ways are more contentious than ever. At least the way they're presented to the public are more contentious than ever because there are networks and organizations that speak from one perspective without recognizing other perspectives. So I think for the NFL to have the opportunity with We the Veterans and with other organizations and with the teams, not just to get people out to vote, but to use stadiums as voting places, which was done in 2020. It can be done again in 2024. So Roger and his people have done a terrific job in this space, and we've only impacted the NFL by partnering with We the Veterans, and hopefully enhance their impact because they have tremendous values and things that should be supported by society.
General George Casey, U.S. Army retired, again, Army Chief of Staff, Ben Kaiser, We the Veterans and Military Families, and Neil Nathan, co-founder of We the Veterans and Military Families, and Hall of Famer Paul Tagliabue, former NFL commissioner today. Vet the votes. Veterans and NFL tackle the election volunteer crisis and get out and vote. Election year 2024. Commissioner, thank you very much for your time and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Sir, that's Paul Tagliabue, commissioner of the NFL on 365 Sports in Vegas on 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, Garrett Ross, Emery Winter, and I'm David Smoak. We'll be back in a moment.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Our good friend Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jewelers here at 365 Sports. Now, Brad, people who watch and listen to our show know I'm a double-time customer for you, engagement ring and wedding band, and you guys do that great, but that's not all you do at Boozer's Jewelers.
Absolutely, and I always like to say, it's a new year. It's a great way to start the year out. Go through your old jewelry. Go through your wife's jewelry box. Go through anything you're maybe not wearing, something that's broken, something that you're not using. We do a massive amount of custom work. We can take your old jewelry, old diamonds, old watches, and we can convert it into something special for you and make a one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And if that's not something you're interested in, a great thing is we can turn that into cash. So we buy gold, we buy diamonds, we'll buy Rolex watches, any kind of heirloom jewelry, anything that's maybe passed down to you.
Boozer's Jewelers, where do they find you, Brad?
We're at 1025 North Valley Mills Drive, right on the corner of Lake Air Drive and Valley Mills with the big clock on the corner.
This is 365 Sports. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
365 Sports from NFL Media Headquarters, Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, Mandalay Bay. Been really wet and cold, nasty. That massive, whatever you want to call it, storm out on the West Coast has pushed a lot of that wet, cool, windy temperatures into Vegas. When we're riding in and out, Uber drivers, whatever, it's been kind of the weather's been very disappointing. Nothing they can do about it. Mother Nature wins, right? So, but just wanted to give you a scene. It's been cold and kind of nasty and miserable. It's not Dallas, the year they hosted in 2011 when they had the ice storm, but it's been a little bit, I'm sure, for Las Vegas, you would think differently. Kind of like in Arizona, it's been cool at times, but they're going to have some cooler, off-season type weather. This here has been, nothing here has bothered me. I mean, we're at the damn Super Bowl and week of, et cetera.
Yeah, it's not, but of course we don't have to, it's not Minneapolis where you got to brave -9 to,
going in it's going to be, it could be 30, it could be -9.
Yeah, it's not that. I mean, hopefully the weather, clears up in the next couple days, but it was supposed to be cool all week anyway before the super soaker storm or whatever happened. So, I don't know.
We're going to touch one more time on this mass media thing, the streaming, and then I've got 11 nuggets of Super Bowl 58 to get to, and then Nick Lowry around the corner. So everybody's now got a story about it that covers sports or business. Again, ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers planning to launch a joint sports streaming service later this year. How much it is, I don't know. What it encompasses, we've told you about a bunch of branches of both. Does this mean if you have this streaming service, you can get rid of your cable?
Look, you can do that anyway.
No, but I mean, you won't need what you get on cable if you can get this streaming service.
This is their whole standalone thing.
Yes.
They've been talking about it, where they're moving it away. And so this is going to cost a little bit. It's available to Hulu, ESPN, and Max subscribers. That's who will be available to. Fox Sports really kind of needs this because their app, I don't know if you've watched a game of the Fox Sports app, it's kind of,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, Garrett and I, when we're doing pre- and post-game shows, we are, constantly having to reset it and do that. We go in the studio when we're kind of between games there, and we'll have 3-4 games on. And if there's one on Fox Sports, I can promise you it's coming around.
This is just someone responding to the story by a writer. It won't be long before someone bundles all these streaming services, calls it cable, and gives us shitty customer service.
Yeah, yep. I mean, that's what's going on. They're trying to redo cable because cable was an absolute land grab for them. And right now, the problem with cable, and again, I'll credit the late great Senator John McClain on this, as he was trying to forward a cafeteria plan for cable customers because he felt it was not fair. And I'm sure maybe this happened when he was sitting in his house one day. He's like, why do I have the O network? I don't watch this crap.
Yep.
I'm not, all this stuff I have and you pay for, why can't you just pay for individual things? So that's when streaming came up and they started having apps okay, well, if you just want ESPN and HBO and a couple other things, that's what you can do and that's all you have to pay for. But then that means that everybody who doesn't want Lifetime or everybody who doesn't want ESPN or everybody who doesn't want that will no longer be paying for it, so those companies lose money. So how do they make money again? By figuring out a way to make you pay for it all again and repackaging the model and being like, no, you're only paying for what you want here. But then all of a sudden you find out I all of a sudden have this and this now. Well, I did this just so I can watch the football games, but now I've got access to all this stuff that you don't watch. Look, ESPN Plus, and I'll credit my good friend Todd Zeidler for saying this in a group chat. He's like, look, ESPN Plus used to be $5. Now it's $11 because they have more games. And so 98% of which we all are not going to be able to watch. We don't have time as an individual person, or that you don't even really care about, so, but you have access to them, and it's nice to have access if you want to be able to watch any of it, but you really only want to watch the things you want to watch. So it's just cable again. it's just the same thing again.
Yeah, or is it another option for you to watch something that otherwise would not be on cable? Because isn't that what streaming?
Yeah.
Like ESPN Plus games, you can't put them all on a cable station. There's not enough channels.
Yeah.
So that gives you the option. We can bitch about it, moan about it, not like it costs whatever. It's something that I didn't want to really get into, but I realized if I want to watch or cover a team or watch a game, I don't have to get it. But if I want to watch it, that's what I have to do. It's kind of like supply and demand.
There are pitfalls to all of it, obviously, or benefits to all of it, obviously. But these companies are going to try, and look, they all took tremendous losses on streaming over the last few years, right? Huge losses. They took huge losses because they're trying to get it going. Well, this is in an effort to restart it, and it's just making cable again.
All right, Super Bowl 58. Something has to give. This is one. Since Allegiant Stadium opened in 2020, the Chiefs and 49ers are a 5-0 combined. Neither team has lost inside the Raiders' home stadium. Kansas City is 4-0, and earlier the 49ers beat the Raiders in the regular season. 11, the number of Pro Bowl selections, including 2023, earned by 49ers tackle and former Longview Lobo Trent Williams, who, when he was younger, didn't want to work out in the summer. He would sleep in his brother's car until finally John King went out there and questioned his manhood when he was like in 8th grade.
One of the great coaches in Texas high school football history, John King. You can give him credit for that, for Des Bryant. Like for Des Bryant, right? No, that was John Outlaw.
John Outlaw.
John Outlaw. Sorry. Yeah. So no, but John King, one of the greats.
Trent Williams is 11 Pro Bowl selections before his first Super Bowl, right? But that's not the record. Champ Bailey, Bruce Matthews, and Reggie White. Champ Bailey and Bruce Matthews had 12 Pro Bowl appearances, Pro Bowl selections before their first appearance. Reggie White had 11. Patrick Mahomes, at the age of 28, will become the youngest quarterback in history to start a fourth Super Bowl 2 years faster than 30-year-old Tom Brady in 2007. And with a win, Mahomes would join Brady and Pro Bowl Hall of Famer Troy Aikman as the only quarterbacks to ever win 3 Super Bowls before their 30th birthday.
Yeah. Wow. You don't even realize like how fast he's done it, and with it feels like
when they said before his 30th birthday, I went, "Oh my God, Brady!" and then realized that there were some pockets before they had the unbelievable run.
How very little resistance he's had from the rest of the league to dominating them, and I don't mean that they're not trying, but he just runs through them like tissue paper.
Kansas City head coach Andy Reid hired him on January 7th of 2013. How many years is that?
9.
11 seasons.
11 seasons.
Since that time, the Chiefs have not experienced a losing season. No other NFL team has an active streak of winning seasons longer than 5 years, and they're at 11. He's led his team to Super Bowls in 4 of the last 5 years, and the franchise went 49 years before when they won it, or since they won it against, they beat the Vikings, Super Bowl 4, and now they've, of course, won it twice under Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, etc. Man, that's hard in this day and age where teams go up and down. Remember the stat about if you lose in a Super Bowl, things happen badly the next year, like Philadelphia this year, right?
Yep.
But it didn't happen to Kansas City when they lost to Tom Brady, or did it? Yeah, they missed that next year.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Did you know that 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey and Pro Football Hall of Famer Terrell Davis are the only players in the league to average at least 110 scrimmage yards per game in both the regular season and postseason inside the same season?
I had no clue of that. That is remarkable.
Terrell Davis didn't catch a lot of passes. He was
No.
not known for that like McCaffrey is. How about this? Middle Tennessee State in Murfreesboro, Tennessee has 3 players who could play in Super Bowl 58. Darius Harris, a linebacker for Kansas City. Richie James, a wide receiver for Kansas City. And Charvarius Ward.
Well, he's the start,
of a start for the 49ers, a starting cornerback.
Yeah, all 3 of them will play.
Middle Tennessee State. If you always say, hey, you got to go play at Bama, whatever, There's an example. 3 of them from that school.
Yeah. Murfreesboro is where Amanda's parents live. I spent a lot of time there. It's right there in Nashville.
Are they NIL? Do they contribute to the NIL of Middle Tennessee State?
No.
Football?
No.
KU?
No.
Okay. Brock Purdy entered the season, as you know, as the last choice 2022 draft. Since that day, he has an 80.8 winning percentage as a starter, has passed for 9.2 yards per attempt, which is hard to fathom, but he has, and a 47-14 touchdown to interception ratio, 111.2 passer rating, the best in the NFL among quarterbacks with a minimum of 20 starts, including the postseason. Isaiah Pacheco, looks like he's always angry with the ball, right?
Yeah.
Is expected to become the first running back since Pro Football Hall of Famer Tony Dorsett with the Cowboys in 77-78 to start Super Bowls in each of his first 2 seasons in the NFL. 251st selection, 11 picks before Brock Purdy, but you don't hear as much about that because Purdy's the quarterback. So that's hard to like, that's never happened in 50 years, nearly 50 years. It has not happened since Dorsett with the Cowboys out of Pitt.
Yeah, it's wild. Like nobody, well, I mean, you think about like Roger Craig, you know, Emmett wasn't in his first 2 years when they got there.
First running back since Tony Dorsett in the late 70s with the Cowboys to start in Super Bowls in his first 2 years in the league.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too many teams that go back-to-back, right? I mean, even, you know.
In New England had, you know, you think about White and others, but
Dylan.
They had guys that they brought in, Jaron Blunt, guys like that. Interesting. All right, those are some NFL notes. We'll come back. We're looking to see if Nick Lowry, Chiefs great, part of the Chiefs Hall of Fame, field goal kicker. Chiefs, of course, in the Super Bowl 58 against San Francisco coming up on Sunday. John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist, will join us. This is 365 Sports in Vegas.
Allen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Allen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
This is 365 Sports.
The Sikkim 365 app is brought to you by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Welcome back, 365 Sports. Nick Lowry, Chiefs Hall of Fame kicker. One of the best kickers. And look, kickers, it's hard for them. They're like catchers in the Baseball Hall of Fame, Smokey. They don't get their due enough because, they're specialists, or you have to be really good as a catcher to make the Hall of Fame in baseball, and you have to be really good as a kicker. As a matter of fact, Morton Anderson, probably the greatest kicker of all time, it took him how long to get in the Hall of Fame after he was retired? About a decade.
It took a while. By the way, This is going to be interesting. What college yesterday athletes wanted to go unionize?
Dartmouth,
yeah.
That's where he went to school.
Oh, okay.
I knew he was an Ivy Leaguer, but I didn't realize he was from originally West Virginia. About my age, a little bit younger. I am. Not much. But he went to Dartmouth, so we might see what kind of reactions we get from him when it comes to his appearance with us here in just now. We gotta, we try to be honest on this show. At least I do. These renegades and degenerates, I don't know. Who was on the chat room talking about the girls behind us while we're on the air?
Everyone.
Were you paying attention to it?
No, I mean, like, they still are.
Garrett?
I try to avoid the chat room. I'm just gonna be honest. I try to avoid the chat room. I'm not a big chat room guy.
Emery, was he paying attention? Was Emery paying attention to the chat room?
He's probably paying attention to the girls knowing Emery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in his eyes.
Yeah. You should have seen him earlier when...
Okay, I'm calling everybody out. Mike Bean, Roger, Paxton, all of you are talking about the background music, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Background noise.
Yeah.
Bracket cat, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Paul, you're in here saying something about
I was telling them that one of them is actress Mariel Hemingway, who was in Manhattan.
So we're going to get a backdrop now in the background to keep you
focused.
Hooligans focused on what we're doing at that particular time.
Yeah.
Jeez.
If that distracts them now, wait till Thursday.
What about Thursday?
Well, I mean, when it's going to be packed in here.
Yeah, it'll be.
There's going to be,
there might be things going on behind us we don't know.
Look, someone like Brooklyn Decker will be here that day.
Nah. Okay.
Look at you, all high and mighty. I mean, no. I had so we were in, I'll tell this story to the chat because this is one of my favorite stories. We were in Houston, and we were getting Roger Staubach. And so you kind of have to make sure, especially when a guy like that's across the room, they said, you're going to get him no matter what. You're the last interview, you're going to get him. Well, Smokey is back at our set playing defense. Okay, look, get this interview done, moving interviews around.
Some of the segments we have are recorded. We can place them when we need to.
And I can see him. He's getting really frantic and we got to get this. And, I kept texting and we're fine. So Roger walks off with me, and we're walking down, we're talking, and okay, I remembered you guys, blah, 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 blah. Oh, he remembers me. Here's what I'm thinking. And then this is Dak. This is the 2017 Super Bowl, so it would have been after Dak's rookie year. So Dak Prescott comes up and says, "Hey, Roger, I got your note last week. I would love to go to dinner and let's get together." And he's like, "Yeah, let's get Troy to come too." And he's like, "Oh, that'd be great." And I'm sitting there watching this, and they're just kind of having this little conversation back and forth, going, "Holy crap! This is unbelievable. This is their first
semi-power lunch.
The first time they've met." So then we're walking off, and I was like, "Oh, you haven't met him yet?" He goes, "I don't want to get in his. He's a rookie. I didn't want to get in his business. Just wanted to reach out and show some support."
That
and I was
surprised me with him.
I was like, "Okay, well that's really considerate and classy. That's Roger." And then we're walking, and Brooklyn Decker, actress and swimsuit model and wife of Andy Roddick, she comes up and she has two Special Olympics athletes. And she's like, "Hey, Mr. Staubach, I'm a big fan of yours. My father is a huge fan of yours. And I'm here with the Special Olympics. And I've two athletes. Do you mind if you take a picture with them and do that?" And in the meantime, Smokey's over. He can't really see this. He just sees
I see you wanting to get an autograph from Roger Staubach.
See Roger Staubach, he's like waving. I'm like, no. And so he comes over and we finally get him over and we get done. And Smoak's like, what was taking so long? I'm like, look, I got Dak Prescott, I got Brooklyn Decker, I got 2 Special Olympians. What am I supposed to do? Get out of the way.
Yeah, but okay, here's why this is my 30th one of this.
Mm-hmm.
The frustrating part is we have segments locked in. Now, the Special Olympics and all that, of course, and what you said, all of that makes sense. But we're supposed to have Nick Lowry right now, and we'll get him. He's running late because on the time when SiriusXM had him scheduled, they decided to take a commercial break.
Yeah.
Well, we've been doing this long enough that when we've had somebody show up and we're in a commercial break, we might break out of that to get somebody on because we're told you have 7 minutes. And I just get tired of playing that that game. Not with Nick Lowry, but I get tired of playing that game when it gets like we're running. Okay, we're supposed to have someone for 15 minutes. Listen, we get people. We get great guests. You've heard them already today. And we get good people, great guests. And we're not sloppy seconds.
Yeah.
We're not. If we don't get somebody, we won't get somebody. But when we get 15 minutes, and then because they're running late, because the people before us are running late, I don't want that cutting into my time. I don't give a damn who the player is, or the coach, or the Hall of Famer. And we get this quick little wrap, and I don't even watch that anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no. We also have decided, because we had for years, we would kind of try to run people down and like kind of follow people around the room, and we don't really do that anymore. If you don't have time, then I'm not going to bother you.
I'm 60, almost 5 years old. This is my 30th Super Bowl. That doesn't mean I win any prizes, but if there's someone that I see and I walk up to them and they're approachable. If they're not, I am going to walk right by. I'm not going to go play Gangs of New York. I've actually compared, which is one of the bloodiest, goriest movies.
You love that movie, don't you?
I do. But there are times on Radio Row, and this is very spaced out. As you can see, there's a lot of space. There have been times on Radio Row, and tomorrow it'll be twice as many people. No, there'll be 2.5 times more people in here tomorrow. And then 5 times more people on Thursday. And it can be like Gangs of New York, securing, and bringing guests to your table or getting them lined up on the show. Yeah. Am I wrong?
No, it's tough.
Gangs of New York.
And we
come out of here, you want to you want to either smoke a cigarette, which I don't do that, take a shot, which I don't do that anymore, or you want to just go lay in a padded room for about 30 minutes and decompress.
Yeah, and look, everybody's pushing something, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody's pushing something. We're able to help them. So, if you've got time and you're here, sit down. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah, Sir blah, 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 I award you a prize. I appreciate that. Mike Bean shot in a beer, baby. But my whole point is that when my first year, I was spoiled because it was in L.A. and I was able to get unbelievable guests because there were like 12 radio stations. And we were one of them from Tyler.
Yeah.
We were incredibly lucky. But the next year, 40. Then it was 57. And then it kind of popped to about 100 in Dallas. When it was in Dallas, although the game was at AT&T in Arlington. And now this year, I mentioned this, I think, on Monday, the 159 different places requested room or space on Radio Row. And I would say about 25 or 30 of them aren't here or they're not on the air very often. So just to kind of give you a little bit, Paxton, I need a beer now, Smokey. Getting one now. From Dan, I think attractive females to the show would be great. A different perspective, and never mind. Dan, thank you very much. Let's break. Nick Lowry around the corner. If he's done with Sirius XM Radio, this is 365 Sports. Samantha DeBall, TexasBeefHouse.com. The auctions keep on being, from what I can tell, a great success, Samantha.
Yes, and they are so much fun. We have people that come out that have never been to any type of auction, and they have so much fun. You can hear and feel the energy in the room, especially when people are high-fiving each other when they've won a lot, or you can tell when people are just bummed when they didn't get that one and they're waiting for the next one, but the energy is just so awesome.
Your father said it's been so successful, you're looking at doing even more and more into the future. Is that correct?
That is correct. We don't have a date yet. yet, but we're looking at maybe possibly sometime in April doing another one. And this one will again be a live auction along with being able to bid online for people that are not local.
Farm-raised, aged Wagyu beef. And now people can get it as they want it. The fact that they can control how much they buy and also how much they pay. How really cool is that?
What we like to call it is price discovery. So we don't want to put a price on our product. We want you to decide what you want to pay for our product. So you get to bid what you want to pay.
Samantha, this company has really gone off. You guys are like setting the standard. What are other people in your profession saying about what you're doing?
After this last auction, we had people reach out to us from Arkansas, from Oklahoma, just so excited for what we're doing because it gives them the opportunity to maybe do this possibly in the future too. So we've had a lot of positive feedback from other ranchers.
Super Bowl coming up February the 11th. Chiefs against the 49ers.
You can still order online before then, and this coming week we'll ship Monday through Wednesday. We've got flank steak, slap steak, we've got hamburgers that you can order and get shipped to you. And you know that we're a really big Chiefs fan because Patrick Mahomes is from our hometown.
Right there in your backyard. That's Samantha Duvall, the great company that continues to set the standard in the beef business at TexasBeefHouse.com.
Shop big savings during the Ram Truck Month at Allen Samuels in Waco. Ram 1500 is the most luxurious and technologically advanced Ram 1500 ever. There's a great selection on the lot and ready for immediate delivery. Ram Truck Month sales event is a winner at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Thank you for calling your local Marco's Pizza. We're turning up the heat with our new Reaper Cheesy Bread. Fresh, house-made dough is topped with a spicy cheese blend infused with jalapeno, habanero, and Carolina Reaper peppers. At only $5.99, this limited-time product is a hot deal. Add it to your order while you can. A Marco's team member will be with you shortly.
Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it, and that offer on the Reaper Cheesy Bread is available right now at any of the 5 Marco's Pizza locations in Waco, including Belmead, China Spring, Robinson, Woodway, and Hewitt. Order online at Marcos.com. Call for a pickup or delivery. Marco's Pizza is turning up the heat with their all-new Reaper Cheesy Bread with fresh, hot, house-made dough topped with a spicy cheese blend infused with jalapeno, habanero, and Carolina Reaper peppers. And only $5.99 and for a limited time only. Marco's Pizza, the fastest-growing pizza brand in America. 5 locations in Waco. And the new Reaper Cheesy Bread. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
We're in Vegas at the Mandalay Bay NFL Media Headquarters Radio Row. Nick Lowry, former Chiefs kicker, and also Chris T. Clem, former Chief Patrol Agent, the U.S. border in Yuma, Arizona. You want to be that now?
That's why I retired. It was a great run, 27 and a half years, but it was time. And the only thing that's changed about me, and I was just mentioning it, and Nick and I have talked about it, is I grew my hair out and I grew a beard for the first time. I had a high and tight flat top and not a whisker on my face for 27 and a half years. It's still in my DNA, which is what we're doing with Massive Blue and the Overwatch. But yeah, the border's kind of a mess.
Yeah, so Nick, obviously Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and wanted to get to a lot of that. The Chiefs in the Super Bowl, there was like a 50-year stretch since the year they beat Minnesota.
I know all about it.
Yeah, and now it's like bam, 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 bam. Yeah. How fun is that as a Chiefs great?
Well, since you're Waco, Texas, I got to say, I think we got to stay humble and win this game on Sunday. But once we do that, America's team is moved to Kansas City, not Dallas.
No, that's fine with me. I'm a lifelong Washington fan, and I don't even know if they exist anymore the way they've played the last several years.
Look,
but
I'm a Cowboys fan who, when the Cowboys last won, I was just getting my learner's permit. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, the Cowboys haven't learned that
No.
you gotta earn it. You can talk all you want, but in the end you got to do it. And the Chiefs have to do that. Nobody deserves anything. You got to earn it.
Nick, I think, the consensus around the Dallas media and the people that cover the Cowboys is that there is not, they've done everything. Staff-wise, everything most teams would have done.
No, they haven't done everything.
But there is not accountability. When they lost this game, nothing's going to change, right? They're going to add another part
Your
to
owner, who's a great guy, but the owner's got to be able to humble himself and get a new general manager in there because he's just too close to it and he's too influential. And he's so positive with the players, I think they begin to think that they're better than they are. And in the end, they're great players. They got great talent. They got a good organization. But something's missing, and I think sometimes you talk too much as opposed to focus on just getting it done when it matters.
Did you ever have, when you were playing, a general Hank Stram, right? Was it Hank? No, I'm sorry. What am I doing? No. When you were there,
how old do you think I am? Man?
Well, I'm 60 years old.
Marty Schottenheimer.
Schottenheimer.
I would have to be 80 years old to be Hank Stram.
No, that's right. But when you were that's John Stenerud. I'm sorry. But when you were playing, did your general manager, was he the focal point of every interview?
Not at all. Jim Schaaf was very quiet, and then we had Carl Peterson, who was much more of a leader, but he also had the confidence to hire a very strong personality in Marty Schottenheimer, and your team always takes on the personality of your head coach. So you got to have alignment between the owner, the general manager, and the head coach. If you don't have that, it's going to be hard to be consistent.
What's it like for you as a Chiefs Hall of Famer and a Chiefs fan to know when you're watching a game that as long as they're within 10 points with more than about 35 seconds left, that Patrick Mahomes can pull something out of nowhere?
4 years ago, we're playing Houston. We're down by 24 points.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, this, once again, I think it's great that we're underdogs because you got to stay humble and stay focused on the game. I don't care how good you look on paper, but the experience is awesome. And frankly, because it was such a terrible season, at least by these Super Bowl standards, to have come through and metamorphosed into who we always wanted them to be, it makes it even more sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just in Kansas City over the weekend, and walking around, it is like the Chiefs, like they dropped a bomb and it just shut Chiefs all over the place.
23 below zero. I was down in the stands right next to the field. That to me was sort of an initiation of the Chiefs fans showing how tough and committed and loyal they are. And I think we just took it to an even higher level after that.
It's unbelievable. Like, you cannot step into a place without hearing the Chiefs Kingdom song. You can't, people.
That one too.
The
chant.
Yeah, but it's all over the place. It's all over the place. People like stores that sell soap are selling Chiefs T-shirts now. It's all over the place.
Yeah. Well, they've earned it.
Yeah,
they've earned it. But they're not just getting attention. They're getting attention because they're winning, not just because they have a star in their helmet. I said that. Now, by the way, Chris Clem is from Sam Houston State University. I'm an SFA guy, and we still are in the same neighborhood here.
That's right.
That great rivalry. I hate that it's split up, though, because of the Division I with what Sam Houston State's doing. This is Massive Blue Overwatch. There's a lot going on. A1 and AI, and all the things. So what are you trying to do here?
Well, I'm going to hand the ball. I'm going to be Patrick Mahomes handing off to Rashee Rice or to one of our great running backs, Isaiah Pacheco and Chris Clem, because I met Chris at the border and we connected together behind this company called Massive Blue, which is focused 100% on giving some help to law enforcement, to communities with this tidal wave of criminal behavior on social media and through phones. And I'm just going to hand it off to Chris because he sees better than anybody what he needed back then and what we need right now.
That was a long handoff, but I got it now. I'm running. So we had, I spent all my career trying to go against a conventional adversary, but the adversary evolved, right? So it is now an unconventional deal. The interconnectedness around the world is using, the transnational criminal organizations, domestic criminal organizations are using online social media and social platforms to target and exploit people, to include human trafficking. People don't really realize that. So what we've done is essentially with Overwatch have created a cyber wall to protect our country, to protect our communities, our companies, and most importantly, our children. So we offer this service to law enforcement agencies to help develop tips and leads to combat the online predation and sextortion that's going on. We also will work with philanthropy groups, nonprofits that go out there and rescue victims of trafficking. And so Massive Blue is our company name,
right.
But Overwatch is the program. So massiveblue.io. If anybody is interested, if you've got a faith-based group, if you've got a connection to law enforcement, if you are a company owner that says, hey, we want to protect our workforce, look us up, reach out to us, and we'd love to be able to do some business.
What is going on at the border is a humanitarian crisis. I mean, it is an absolute humanitarian crisis. There's no easy answers to it, and I think that everybody wants to have the quickest answer of like, oh, what if we just did this? But you worked it for so long. When it comes to technology that the Border Patrol maybe does or does not have, advancing that technology, trying to stay one step ahead of the game. Every minute that you guys don't have something, to me it feels like a minute that the criminal organizations can go ahead and have that and use it against you.
Well, they don't play by the rules.
Yeah.
We have to play by the rules, appropriations by law. So I kind of narrowed this down to tall fences, wide gates, right?
Yeah.
Tall fences is a border security apparatus. The infrastructure, the technology, the personnel, the policies to put consequences for bad behavior. And then the wide gates is that lawful pathway. But if we're going to wait on Congress to do this, we're going to be waiting and continue to wait. So we've got to take opportunities like using technology in these programs that Nick and I are here for to leverage that to go after these bad actors. Because we're not waiting on the government to say, hey, we're going to develop. No, we're doing this now. We need to save lives. And that's what people don't understand. It's when you talk about the border, it's not a if or a false choice. It's either you secure the border or you're against migrants. No, it's about keeping America safe. It's about finding the right way to bring people in that's going to contribute to society and help those that are fleeing. But in the meantime, those that are caught up in this vortex, we need to go after and protect them, and that's where the programs that we're involved in can help.
Have you been down near the border at all lately to where are you like blown away, appalled by what you see compared to when you were in the middle of trying to control it?
To answer your question, yes. I was in Lukeville, Arizona when it was a hot spot right before Christmas. I was in Eagle Pass right before Christmas. I've been down there. I live in Arizona, so I've seen it. I am not shocked. It's exactly what it was like in Yuma in 21 and 22.
Okay.
Nothing has changed. In fact, the numbers are only higher. I'm appalled because it's only now that they want to address it. That's why, look, both sides are at fault. American people and the migrants are caught in this, and we need to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really inspiring to hear you and hear, an expert on this, because we don't hear from people who've been there working it and trying to see and seeing both sides of, okay, this guy's a criminal, this guy is fleeing this guy who I'm trying to get, and we're somehow going after the wrong dude.
Yeah.
And, like that has got to be a really hard and complex thing, but we don't really hear that from we hear from, a politician who's got a paper in front of them that's saying what somebody else told them to say.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating. We've lived it. It's just one of those things that, I think the truth will set you free, and that's why we keep talking about it and we use these platforms.
You were going to add something to it, or was that what you?
Well, you know what? When I met Chris for the first time, we were educated that during the previous administration there was about 25 people a day, and there was up to almost 1,000 a day. And it's probably what, Chris? It's even worse now.
Well, the numbers again.
That's just in Yuma.
Yeah, that was Yuma. It was 25 a day to 1,000 a day. So, look, we had a record number, 302,000 illegal encounters in December, the largest single month in history. And then January, it was over 176,000, which is the largest single January on record. So, yeah, it hasn't gotten better.
So when you see some of the stories about those who are coming across the border, the ones you're wanting to try to apprehend or protect against, and you see what they could be doing based on reports, that's what you're worried. That's it, right?
That's what keeps me up at night. The people that are turning themselves in, the big volumes, there's a pathway to fix that, but it's the ones that are getting in the way, the ones we don't see, that should scare the heck out of all of us.
And another statistic, this is about 5 months ago now, the New York Times, not exactly a far-right newspaper, 250,000 unaccounted for youth that have come across the border. And what percentage of them are in child trafficking and sex trafficking? It's just not right. That's all it is.
Because we could discuss the bad apples, and there are a bunch of them, but really a lot of people are just trying to find an opportunity, like coming to the United States, correct? Yes. And they come here, and they're being, it depends, bused to certain places, or they get across the border, and next thing you know, they're in a worse situation they were.
That's the wide gate piece.
Yeah.
90+% of the people we encountered are economic migrants. They're looking for work. That is not an asylum claim. That doesn't meet the merits, and that's, again, why we need to figure out better lawful pathways so people can get into the country that need to get into the country.
All right, again, it's Chris Clem and also Nick Lowry.
26 to 17. So if you want my prediction on the game
26-17
for the Chiefs, and it's massiveblue.io. Go to massiveblue.io.
Thank you very much.
26-17 means Butker's involved. See,
4 field goals.
He's backing up the
There you
kicker.
go. There you go. Nick Lowry, Chris Clem, thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for your
having us.
time.
Thank
This is 365 Sports in Vegas.
Allen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Allen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Here's Purdy with a lot of time. Steps into one. Launching deep. Going for Brandon Aiyuk. It is. Oh, he caught it off the ricochet. Penalty. Is he in?
Live from Radio Row at Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. This is 365 Sports. Powered by Sikkim365.com.
Here's Kansas City from the 19. Throwing at the goal line. And it's caught by Kelce for the touchdown.
Our coverage of Super Bowl 58 is brought to you by Allen Samuels House of Travel, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, TexasBeefHouse.com, IdealMRI.com, Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine, Marco's Pizza, Rogue Media, Camille Johnson Realtors, The Tyler Candle Company, United Nissan.
Third down, four-man rush. Purdy in some trouble. Escapes, looking for the first down. He's got it and more. Brock Purdy with the legs inside the 30.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at UnitePrivateNetworks.com.
2nd and 10 to the end zone again, and it is intercepted. Intercepted by Deion Bush, who just came in 2 plays ago for Mike Edwards.
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
I've heard that call from Jim Nance on the interception of Lamar Jackson, which was into like triple coverage. He is disappointed. Now, I'm not one of those because we're broadcasters. A lot of times but it sounds like because if they do score there, my God,
it's a game.
They got a banger.
It's a game. Yeah, it's a game. Yeah, I think that's what people are. When people say they're rooting for me or my team or they're against it, no. If you're in the booth, all you want to see is a good game. That's what you want to see. Now, granted, look, if Tony Romo's calling a Cowboys game, you bet your ass he wants the Cowboys to win. He's a Cowboy. Like, that's how it is. You can't do that. But also, I can tell you, there is nothing harder to do than the last part of a blowout game.
No, it's difficult.
It's really difficult because you're trying to be entertaining.
Before, you find out if you're a good broadcaster when it's 52-0.
But it is. You try to be entertaining. And early in my career, one of the critiques on I was doing play-by-play for University High School where LaDainian Tomlinson went. Walter Abercrombie and others, but Alfred Anderson, I think, so but they weren't very good.
No.
And it was, man, you really sound bored. I'm like, yeah, because it's boring. And then they're like, no, that's not your job. Your job is to make boring sound good. And it's a challenge. It really is.
So Paxton just asked this question. What has been your worst interview during all of your years on Radio Row?
That's a good question.
And one doesn't jump out, but you got to remember now, this thing up here, 30 years ago, I don't know if one just pops into my head.
No, we've had a couple.
Most of them have been very, very. I mean, they're here knowing they're going to be interviewed. There are some. We almost had the experience with Deion, but as soon as the lights came on, just like Deion, he was like, bam, like Emerald when it comes to the kitchen. Zach Gelb, CBS Sports, great friend of ours, got to know him during the Matt Rhule taking over at Baylor. And now, at the high level with CBS Sports Radio. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. This is the favorite spot I'm going to do all week with the relationship that we have.
And you said you went out to Lincoln and visited and went to a game and everything, huh?
Oh, I went to Nebraska. Those Cornhusker fans, I know I'm sucking up to Smokey here because he's this big fan, never been to a game. What the heck are we doing here? I can't believe with a fan base that has been tortured for that long, how early people get up, how early people drink, how early people just give you out free food. It was phenomenal. The game, the atmosphere. You could walk right up to the sideline during the game. I didn't have any special passes or anything like that. Wonderful town, and I hope he did what he did at Baylor, and that's turned something around to make it special.
Yeah, he told us we had dinner with him the last time he was in Waco.
Did he pay?
Yeah,
he paid better with that contract that he's been getting.
He did. Yeah.
Us radio guys, come on.
And it was one of those lingering into the night type of thing. Yeah, no, he did.
Smokey had a few pops.
Yeah, I did.
But Garrett McGuire was there, and he's the wide receivers coach. And look, he's
they carded him because he's so young looking.
He's like 25 years old, right?
Well, they weren't carded Joey, let's be real.
No. I thought the most fascinating thing about the fans in Lincoln were he gets off the plane and they say, and he walks up to the rental car and he's like, "Hi, I'm Garrett McGuire." And like, "Oh, you're the new wide receivers coach."
Yeah, they knew.
And he's like, "Okay, well, this could be just a message board geek." And then he goes to get coffee and it's like, Garrett McGuire, right? And he's like, yeah. And it was like everybody knows. Like they are so in touch.
So we all love Sean Patton. And
he
was at Baylor, right? He ended up on
the Tonight
Kimmel
Show.
Or Fallon, one of those shows, because he had a tackling dummy.
You raced a tackling dummy and
beat
won.
the crap out of him, all that, and the crash landing and all that. But Sean wasn't allowed to the team movie night before the game because he was away for something and they won. So they said, you can't go to the movie night anymore. So when I was in Lincoln, he's like, I could come get a quick meal. But you're exactly right. He goes, we got to go to this place because this is where I won't get recognized. Everyone around the streets, hey, Sean, how you doing? Go get him this weekend, So it's just an awesome football town.
Yeah,
when are we going to a game, Smokey? Let's go. Let's do this together.
He has already laid the law down. We don't get him again until I go to a game.
There's tension.
Good.
There's tension. Yeah, no, I agree.
Here was the problem. There. Come on.
There's no more an excuse. But the problem for years, it really was when I was in Tylerman. He's high school football.
High school football. He's the don of high school football. He's got to be the football can't go on with that. How old are you now? 35?
Almost 65.
Okay. Can you be a little selfish for once in your life? Can you be selfish for once in your life?
Believe me, there are some that think I already am.
You're too benevolent. Care about yourself. Screw everyone else.
I have watched them all over the country, but I absolutely has never been to Lincoln, and that's stupid. I mean, if at any moment if I'm gone, I never went to Lincoln.
Go to Casa Bavina. You'll thank me later.
Okay.
That restaurant's amazing, and then the scene at Misty's is really cool. That's where Tom Osborne would go after all the games. They bring the band in the night before the game. It was awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. And I have to. Now, he's challenged me. Super Bowl week, you've done a lot of these. Chiefs, 49ers. If Mahomes is the quarterback on the other side, does it matter who the other guy is with Purdy, or is this his chance to, go up another level with Purdy, win the Super Bowl?
If Mahomes was on the Niners, everyone would be taking the Niners.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Everyone this week, it's weird. The Niners are the favorite in the game, but I feel like they're the underdog. Because I had Robbie Gould on today, played on that Niners team that lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I had Kendrick Bourne on today, played on that Niners team that lost the Super Bowl. They all go, yeah, the Niners are the better team. We want them to win, but there's 15 on the other sideline. And that's the mental roadblock right now that is occurring. I don't think, though, that the Niners are going to be mentally spooked by Mahomes. Doesn't mean Mahomes can't win the game, but it is wild to me that no one, maybe besides me, is taking the 49ers.
Oh, really?
Game.
Well, Nick Lowry, by the way, just mentioned he's going to take. Of course, he's a Kansas City guy.
Right.
Yeah, that's like No.
But
wait, he's taking the Niners?
No, he's taking KC.
Oh, I was going to
I was
going to say if he was taking the Niners, that's like a fraud, just like Smokey being this fraudulent Cornhusker fan.
And I'm admitting it too.
Yeah. But it's like it feels with Mahomes. It's like early Tiger, where if he was in the lead on Sunday, and you were chasing him, like you would do stupid things you would normally do because you were like, well, I guess I got to do this because otherwise I'm not going to catch this freak.
Yeah. Well, even when Tiger was down and out and then won that Masters, look how many guys basically urinated down their leg.
Yeah.
And Tiger wasn't even playing great on that Sunday.
That's right. So, what is the difference between you where you are now, and we're going to get to the Super Bowl and all that, but you have climbed this ladder. You are now a part of network radio. What has it been like for you? Have you changed at all?
No, I think I do the same show that I did from 2 to 6 a.m. Eastern. I think I did the same show when I was on 1,000
I remember when you did overnight because you called Matt Rhule, I think, one time as a guest.
He joined us on after the Texas Bowl on the bus.
When they won the bowl game.
He was on the bus, and he's walking into the hotel lobby, and the band's playing, and he's like... And he's still doing the interview. I'm like, Coach, we're going to let you go enjoy the night.
I remember that.
We were there. We were there in the lobby waiting for him.
You guys go everywhere. By the way, are we getting any of that fine money that Mack Rhoades now going to have to pay so we go drinking tonight?
Yeah.
Can we get Mack on the phone?
I can't talk about our conversations with Mack about the fine.
See, here's the thing. All these guests come on this week. No one gets Smokey in trouble. No, I will get Smokey in trouble. We're going to have Baylor calling him up and saying,
I don't even want to look at my text messages
why are you talking to that Gelb guy? He's going to get you in too much trouble.
$25,000 is a standard number. Kirby Hocutt, others have had it,
Not to you and I.
No. Like, oh, my God, it goes off GoFundMe account.
Yeah.
But what he said... It seemed like there's a lot of people that backed him, even though it's Baylor, right?
Okay.
Because of the Big 12 in basketball. Is it fair that ADs, coaches get reprimanded and or fined publicly, but the officials, we don't know?
So I don't even get why I get why they do it, but I wouldn't fine a coach for just speaking the truth. I don't think you should get fined for saying, oh, this guy missed a call or this happened. I just don't believe that should be the case. I get why they do it because the officials are an easy target. And I think officiating isn't as bad as what we perceive it to be. But we all rip players. We all go after coaches when they mess up. So why can't we go after the officials?
Yeah, or know when they've been suspended. Or if they have been reprimanded, why not make that public?
Or how about this? Because you always have some pool reporter that gets the question, and you usually don't get anything. Well, could we put the officials on the podium a little bit? Like, get a few questions?
NFL does it. NFL has the poll reporter.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is, one, clarification. And now you have a lot that goes on with gambling, et cetera.
Oh, yeah.
And
you also have all these conspiracy theories. Someone loses a bet, and they try to justify why they lost the bet, and they're going to say that something's fixed
like a pass interference call or whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
Like last year's Super Bowl.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but, you've got, like, college sports, and this is the NCAA, because they're not accountable for anything.
No,
right?
the NCAA is, like, they're frauds.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh, I don't think all this stuff comes out with Jim Harbaugh this year. If he would have just sucked it up and would have just said, okay, we're going to agree to the 4-game suspension and we're going to admit we're wrong. He didn't want to admit that he was wrong for the whole cheeseburger and the infractions during COVID.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of things that go on that the NCAA just waits, and then they're petty. And when they want to go after you, they have all the plays in the playbook.
They have everything available. They just open up, okay, hey, bring me Manual, Michigan or whatever, right? That's what it is. How much do you think that college coaches are moving to the NFL, or there's a trend, it may be a very small one, because college now is more difficult to coach with all the rules than it is in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't want to hear coaches that make millions of dollars complain that the players are finally getting a piece of the pie. But selfishly, and I told you to be selfish, so this would now be hypocritical if I went after the coaches for being selfish. It's easier to coach in the NFL now.
And that used to be just not even close.
Not even close, because you were the my way or the highway guy. You were the CEO in college. Now you recruit a player. He gets a signing bonus on the NIL, and after a year, he goes right back in the transfer portal if he didn't get his playing time, or he thinks he could get more money, and he then goes and gets that new contract or whatever money that was deferred. He just doesn't ever see it.
Yep, that's the NFL was the one that would wear you down.
Yeah.
Like, wear you down. You
Absolutely.
slept at the office, a few of those stories, Joe Gibbs or whoever else. And now it's not quite that in college, but there's so many different things going on at one time.
Well, also look at it, like when Roy Williams walks away or Mike Krzyzewski walks away, Nick Saban. All right, they probably had some more years to give, but you're old. It's okay. You could walk away. You could retire. You could enjoy life. When Jay Wright walks away, that's NIL.
There you go.
Chris Peterson, everyone was shocked when he walked away. I had him on right before the Washington semifinal game and the national championship game, and he was like, he was just open. I have no interest in getting back into this now because it's the wild, wild west.
And they could still get paid pretty good money now being analyst on television like once a week or 3 months a year.
Look at, I know it's NFL coach, and there was personal things away from the football field, but Bill Cowher. Who would have thought Bill Cowher would have never coached a game again? He goes to CBS. I have no clue what he's making. I'm sure they pay him a pretty penny and a lucrative contract. And you basically work, 2 days a week for 18, 20 weeks of the year?
Yeah. Vegas and the Super Bowl, the weather's been a little bit nasty. They can't control that because of that craziness on the West Coast coming in.
Yeah.
But your overall thoughts that the NFL is playing their championship game that used to ban anything gambling right here in their backyard.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. All those years, you can't do this, you can't do that. Oh, you're going to give us a little chunk of the pie? Yeah, we're down.
Yes,
here we go. Tony Romo, forget what we did years ago. We're now all in.
That's an example we've heard from a couple of times in the last week. Was Romo in that, what was it, fantasy football league kind of meetings or whatever?
I went to that, by the way.
Did you really?
Tony Romo thing, because we got the guy called us up, credentialed us, and everything. Said, "Come on up,"
Yeah,
and it was
free trip.
It was at the fairgrounds, and I'm going to tell you, if you were thinking it was going to be a bunch of wise guys making moves, no, it was a bunch of fantasy football nerds, freaking out because Sean Alexander was going to be there.
Remember when he was a good fantasy player for 2 years?
Yeah. By the way, he should be a guy that's in the Hall of Fame. And here's why. Everyone says, he didn't play long enough. He has 100 rushing touchdowns in his career. How does a guy have 100 rushing touchdowns not be in the Hall of Fame?
Let me tell you something. Terrell Davis didn't play very long, but he got the rings, and that kind of vaulted him. Gale Sayers did not play very long because of knee injuries that ruined his career. And if those stats are in that neighborhood, that's someone. I have not heard his name brought up as somebody.
I'm the only one that says it. I was also the guy that was yelling for years, Leroy Butler to get in the Hall of Fame, eventually did. Yeah. Even though he was way before my time, Jerry Kramer, he eventually got in.
Yep.
I worked with Tiki Barber. He's a CBS Sports Radio for years now on WFAN locally. And Tiki and I, Tiki was a semifinalist or something like that this year. At least he was getting talked about. But I said to Tiki, no one talks about Sean Alexander, a guy that won an MVP and 100 rushing touchdowns. And for a 6-year stretch, he was as dominant as
oh, my God. He was so smooth the way he glided.
And he has 15 kids now, too. You think Phillip Rivers has a lot of kids? I'm not kidding. Sean Alexander has 13 or 14 kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Alabama great, too, Sean Alexander. Appreciate you, man. It's great to see you because we got to know you based on your knowledge of Matt Rhule before or right as he was taking the job.
You were the only one. Here's the thing. When he got that job, here's what I knew. I was like, oh, that's the guy from Temple. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
I was at all those practices. I was there for the 2-win season and the turnaround, and that's what I hope happens at Nebraska. And it's great that they got Dylan Raiola, and I also hope we get to see Dave Aranda smile a few times this football season.
Well, from where you are, and Dave, of course, has gotten the extra year. Or he had the contract, but he was given again a new lease on life. Believe me, it was hard during that. Really, from the end of the year before to the losses at the end of the year that Air Force in the bowl game, man, he was the Jedi.
Yeah,
he was the genius, and he's no different as a person. But man, the losses have mounted up, and the easy thing for Mack Rhoades.
Well, he took over a good situation.
No, he did. He absolutely did.
I'm not taking anything away from Aranda.
But one of the things that was interesting is when they did have that year that was even more special because people were pissed at Matt for leaving. So when he had the 21 year, it was, well, he took Matt's players, okay, but made them better, put them in better positions, which could be true. And now, I mean.
So I teased Aranda a little bit. When they win that Big 12 championship, and it was as exciting could be. Can we get a little smile out of him, please?
No, it's not.
You won the game, coach.
Yeah, it's
right at the end.
And because of his personality, when they were winning, now 2-7 at the beginning of COVID, but when they were winning, everyone thought, man, they thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then last year, he doesn't care anymore. Or he doesn't show enough emotions. You know how, like Tony Dungy didn't show emotions either. Yeah. There's a few of those examples.
Yeah, but it's the thing. Most people never get to talk to him one-on-one. Like in one-on-one, he's one of the most engaging people you're going to meet.
Oh, he is. Yeah, we've had him on before.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just without microphones, way even better. When he's not worried about
a lot of coaches are that way. It's rare to see the guys that are great behind the scenes and then on the air as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say some of the guys are two totally different people, and you're like, I don't know. He's just. He's self-editing a little bit more, but he's really interesting, and I think his biggest issue is he is so smart that sometimes he gets kind of into here's the plan.
Yeah.
That he's well, we've got to see it through phase D of the plan before we pivot.
Yeah, we can't get to D until we get to A or whatever.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Fans don't even let you get to A sometimes.
No, and so last year he should have pivoted and didn't.
I think he also resisted the transfer portal and also NIL. I don't think there's any question about that. He's even admitted that. But when they had the big year, they didn't take advantage of it through the transfer portal. He admitted this. He gave the younger guys in the depth chart after the Xavier Woods, Terrell Bernard, Jalen Petrie, they're all gone. He wanted to give those who were on the roster a chance to fill their roles, and it came back to haunt him.
So you see a lot of older coaches walking away. Are you going to be walking away soon because of NIL in the transfer portal?
That's a great question. You're talking about in our business, right?
Yeah. You're one of the legends.
I'm not. But
yes,
thank
you are.
I'm not walking away because I can't afford to walk away. But I'll tell you this job, which you'd think all this information, daily transfer portal, it has worn me out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's worn me out a little bit.
That's why you take a few vacations on Friday
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. To go to Lincoln.
Yeah.
To go to Lincoln.
We'll get you some bourbon too, my man.
Love you, man. Zach Gelb gave us all of the Matt Rhule insight when all that story popped, and he was right there with us quite a bit and still has been from CBS Sports from Vegas. Thanks for your time, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. The best.
365 Sports, back in a moment.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected. Get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Our good friend Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jewelers here at 365 Sports. Now, Brad, people who watch and listen to our show know I'm a double-time customer for you, engagement ring and wedding band, and you guys do that great, but that's not all you do at Boozer's Jewelers.
Absolutely. And I always like to say, it's a new year. It's a great way to start the year out. Go through your old jewelry. Go through your wife's jewelry box. Go through anything you're maybe not wearing, something that's broken, something that you're not using. We do a massive amount of custom work. We can take your old jewelry, old diamonds, old watches, and we can convert it into something special for you and make a one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And if that's not something you're interested in, a great thing is we can turn that into cash. So we buy gold, we buy diamonds, we'll buy Rolex watches, any kind of heirloom jewelry, anything that's maybe passed down to you.
Boozer's Jewelers, where do they find you, Brad?
We're at 1025 North Valley Mills Drive, right on the corner of Lake Air Drive and Valley Mills with the big clock on the corner.
This is 365 Sports. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Scotty B loves Zach's energy. He full throttle like Softy. On Paul, you were talking about University High with Abercrombie, obviously with Paris Cox, and then LaDainian Tomlinson. You mentioned
Alfred Anderson.
He's from Richfield.
Richfield, okay.
He was at Richfield.
Okay, sorry.
But then the question was, who was the Waco quarterback in 1979 that my cousin Rob Harris from Temple beat that went on to Alfred Anderson was Richfield. I don't know about 79. And
I know when
Waco
the merger
High,
was.
Waco had Richfield, and there was another Jefferson Moore.
Which was Waco High.
Yeah. It became Waco High, and they consolidated, and then University got some of that, I think. But I'm in 1979. I don't know, because Waco High really consolidated in the mid-'80s. That became Waco High with those schools we mentioned. Gerald McNeil. No, I think he was from. I don't even think he was. Is he from Waco? He played at Baylor.
He's from Temple.
I thought he was from.
He's from Temple, right?
Yeah, I thought he was from the southern part, a little bit further south of that. Gerald McNeil, the Ice Cube, was as fast a human being that maybe has ever played the game in that played for Cleveland and much more. Colleen High.
He's an Army brat.
Yeah, that's around what is now Fort Cavazos, right? Not Fort Hood, that was named for many, many years. All right. How about this? What does this say about the NFL? To me, this is sickening. This doesn't bother me. But this, to me, like something's wrong here. How popular is the damn NFL?
Hold on. Yes. We need our friend Adidia here. Yeah, come here. You're coming on.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
She doesn't even want to be on.
Because we have to tell this story.
How many years ago?
Yes, this has been a long time. But she came over to our table.
Okay, this was, I believe it was 2012.
Yes.
The 2012 Super Bowl, the Ravens 49ers Super Bowl.
Yes, and you were covering Baltimore.
I was covering Baltimore.
Yes.
And I was at the NFL Network.
Mm-hmm.
And you all thought that the NFL Network was bringing you Michael Irvin.
Yeah, we did.
And I showed up.
Yes.
And thank God you did.
Yes.
That was a good response right there.
Yes.
Are you remembering this?
Yes.
Is this jogging your memory?
No, it was a hell of a segment. Yeah, no. Good. Well, Michael can be all over the place, and you were composed and informative.
He's recovered a lot more quickly than he did a dozen years ago.
Yeah.
At least I didn't flame out.
No.
But you know what it was? I didn't even recognize. I didn't even look at the faces.
You
it
saw
was
the
Tyler Candle Company.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You sent me home with those candles.
Would you say thank you to Eric Horton? He's our friend that owns the company, if you don't mind.
Eric Horton. 14 years later, I can't do the math. These are still my favorite candles.
There you go.
I'm down to the last one. I stole like a whole ton from you.
Let me tell you.
So when I saw you, part of me was saying, hey, let's revisit this.
Yeah.
I didn't flame out. I still have a career, and the 49ers are back in the Super Bowl of all things, right? And I'm with an AFC team again.
Yeah.
It would have been something had it been the Ravens and the 49ers again. But the point is, is that it wasn't so much about you as it was, oh my goodness, I recognize that logo.
Yes. So
it wasn't so much about us.
Thank God. And here's the deal.
Eric, to tell the truth, Eric, it really was about the candle.
No, and we're going to send you home with some of these prizes, by the way.
And thank God.
Perfect, Eric, because I've run out.
It was really awkward because you sat down and you had your notes and you had and we were like,
and they're like, who the F is this person? You can't say that. Will the FCC be mad at me if I
we're
send
on
a letter?
YouTube. You say whatever you want.
All the better. Okay, so who the heck is this woman who has just sat down? And I was new to TV then, too. So it's not like you would have recognized me.
No.
And I was like, guys, I was in San Antonio, Texas a long time ago. You told me that was far away from Tyler.
It's 4.5 hours.
Yeah, but everything in Texas is 4 hours away.
Yeah. El Paso, that's 10
hours away.
That's even longer.
But when I was in San Antonio, Dallas was 4, Fort Worth was 4, Houston was 3.5.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, exactly. So speaking of your career, because it's done great, you've done incredible.
Someone give him notes.
No,
he has no idea.
I watch what you do, but what you do and how much you have come from where you were then. Like, what is she doing here? To who you are, how you're recognized, and how you are trusted with your information. What has that meant to you?
Everything. What do we have other than our credibility and our integrity? You know, it's funny. I was telling this story to someone. So I started covering high school football at the San Antonio Express News. Back in the day, you probably have listeners who don't know that there used to not be wireless in high school press boxes. You'd have to drive back to the newsroom, type out your words before deadline. On a desktop. I didn't even have a laptop when I first started. I'm really aging myself. But you know what? It's a badge of honor if you've done this for 20 years. So I started covering high school football in Texas. I moved to New Jersey. I covered Big East football. And then I started covering the National Football League for the Wall Street Journal. And then they asked me to come to the NFL Network, be on television, and I was awful. I was terrible when I first started because you learn how to write for a newspaper where you get 1,000 words, and now all of a sudden you have to do these 40-second sound bites. Spent 10 years there. Got much better at telling a story, and now I'm at CBS, a sideline reporter. I don't even get 40 seconds. I better tell my story in 15 seconds.
That's a turf war for you in time.
You know, usually when you move on in your career, you get easier jobs, right? You get easier jobs. You have taken a challenging job. I've done, we've both done sideline reporting. I've done it, for radio, and sometimes you'll do it, freelancing. Somebody will call you up like, hey, we're going to be at Baylor. Can you sideline? And you don't have no idea these people. And they're like, hey, what's the deal with this injury? And you're like, pulled hamstring. And that's all you got, right?
I hope you don't just make that up.
Yeah, no, but you have to go. Yeah.
Did you see how my eyes went wide in the way that he said that?
What do you get? Oh, hold on, let me go over there. And then, okay, we're going to go to Paul. It's a pulled hamstring. And then that's it. They all have
but see, you know what? That's the magic. Yes,
so
but that's what keeps you young. Like I always say, my 4-year-old, my 8-year-old, my kids keep me young. But the job, when you're constantly challenging yourself, and how do you make yourself relevant? And how do you not just be, okay, we're going to make this performative throw to the sideline, but we're actually valuing this voice. This voice is going to give us something additional. It's going to set up your analyst well. It's going to give the viewer at home. We're the only ones on the sideline. We have a view that nobody else has. And so when you talk about the evolution of the job, it's not, there was a time in my life where I loved the scoop. I wanted to, now I don't even, it's funny, my husband, are they coming, do I need to go be live right now? No, I don't need to be live at this very moment. But in any case, my husband will sometimes say to me, hey, did you read this? And I was like, oh yeah, I knew that 3 weeks ago. And he'll say, why did you not tell me that? And my producer is behind me. But the point is, this is where I am in my career. I just like knowing stuff. I like learning. And when you're on the sideline and you're hearing and you're in those production meetings and there's none of that filter, they tell you the truth because they really are counting on you to tell the true story of their team or this game. There's a magic in that. And you learn so much and you realize how much silly is out there.
Yeah. Hey, you've done a great job, and you've aced it. Continue forward.
Oh, you're so sweet, guys.
Remember that moment. Michael Irvin.
Not just me. The fact that you guys, 12 years later, haven't gotten sick of each other.
No. That's not. We're very sick of each other. But it's an entertainment business, and we have to act like we care.
And occasionally you bring somebody. I'm surprised you didn't put me in between you. There is a chair in between them.
No, the
everybody
headset just
listening
has to
at
be
home.
right here. That just wound up there.
Yeah.
But Eric Burton, I am walking away with candles, just so you know. And if not, I will leave my home address. You feel free to send them to me. I'll Instagram them.
We'll
tweet
take care.
them.
We'll take care of you.
Where are you going next? Because your producer's about just to grab you and take you. Is it?
She needs my earpiece. No, I can stay. We can tell stories if you want to talk about the Chiefs. If you want to talk about people in Texas.
We should actually get your opinion on the actual game that you're here to cover.
Yeah.
Will you give my producer one candle so she doesn't?
I'll give you. I'm going to chunk them in here, and then you guys can walk away with them.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean I have to give her something of mine?
No. We'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We got it.
Look at this. I just want the free swag is all I want.
What a commercial.
Okay, so guys, well, how are you? Yes, Eric Burton. These candles. Horton. Oh my gosh, why didn't you correct me the first time?
Because
Eric Horton of the Tyler Candle Company. These candles, and I'm not just saying this. They're magnificent.
He started this company at an old, broken down, like a hotel in downtown Tyler, with pouring the wax with Kool-Aid pitchers.
Unreal.
And there's a key to them because of the one wick or that.
I'll tell you, you know what? So I'm down. So these I love because of the hexagon shape.
Right.
And so they're different and they're unique and they're pretty. And not only do they smell fantastic, but I'm down to my last jar. I don't even know if he still makes those jars.
3 ounce?
Yes.
The 3 ounce. No, we'll take care of you on that. You get me the address, and I'll take.
Oh no, that's fine. But my point is that I have loved these
Eric
candles.
Will take care of it.
Look, he'll love this plug.
Yeah.
He'll love this plug.
He will love
great.
It.
Okay, so tell me, how are you guys feeling about the Chiefs, the 49ers? What's fascinating you right now?
My son Craig did Patrick Mahomes' high school football games in White House.
Get out.
So and so he's from that area, and I love him. He's always been so humble. And what he's done, if he's on the other team, it's hard for me to go against him. Buffalo and or Baltimore was going to be hard to do. And it's going to be hard for me to pick San Francisco to win with him on the other side. Yeah. With all due respect to Brock Purdy, love his story too.
I'll tell you this. This is where, there are some coaches that hate to talk about the intangible, but the experience of having been in this moment really showed in the Buffalo game. And we're talking about radio. I actually did the Bills-Chiefs game for Westwood One with the legendary Kevin Harlan and Mike Mayock. They were up in the booth. I was on the sideline. And the Bills were in much better shape than they were in the playoffs a year ago. So I had also been on the sideline for Westwood One as well for the Bills-Dolphins the previous year. And the Bills were tight. They were nervous. They were spent. They were exhausted from the Damar Hamlin situation, all of that. This year, being on the sideline, through the first 3 quarters, I said, okay, this Bills team is feeling good. They're where they need to be. They are locked in. They are focused. They're not exhausted. That fourth quarter came. And when I tell you there was a discernible difference, the Chiefs were sitting there, and you could get this feeling. We're in a close game. In the fourth quarter, we've got them exactly where we want them. Whereas the Bills, we're in a close game in the fourth quarter. Is this a here we go again?
And the burden on their shoulders, right?
And all of a sudden, you saw the tension in the Bills. All of a sudden, the coaches seemed a little more frantic on those headsets. These are the things that you see on the sideline that you never see from the booth, that you never see. You know this. Both of you have been on the sideline. You see this. Look at Charlie Batch waving at me. And in any case, right then you thought, Andy Reid's been here. Patrick Mahomes has been here. Even if Patrick Mahomes is winning in a different way than he's ever won before, he's been in this moment. He knows how to imbue that huddle with the calm, the cool, whatever that you need. And then we saw it last week. You cannot tell me that the Chiefs are a better team, 1-53, than the Ravens. No way. The Ravens are absolutely more talented and had put together a better year, but the Ravens were tight. They were tense. They hadn't been there. The Chiefs have been there.
Yeah, you could tell that in the Bills game, as you said, in the fourth quarter. You could tell early on that Baltimore was almost like because of they've won before, and that's what didn't make sense because they've won before, where Buffalo has been chasing that baby forever.
But they haven't really because Lamar Jackson hasn't won before.
That's true.
You've got a new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken. You've got a new defensive coordinator in Mike McDonald. You've got a lot of new guys.
That have to,
and you had a veteran guy on offense in an Odell Beckham, but he's a one-year guy.
Yeah.
He's not leveling everything. So now here the thing with the 49ers is that they've been here before. They've made this climb. They've been in this moment. They know not what to do, but they haven't quite gotten over the hump. Yeah. And you know what Bill Parcells used to say? You know how you learn how to win a close game? is by winning
a close game. There you go. And I thought there for a while against Green Bay that maybe they had that kind of that pressure that makes you hyperventilate a little bit.
But I like this. I will tell you this. I don't love a team that runs through everybody.
Yeah.
I like a team that's faced adversity and had to gut out a win. I like a team that's had to climb out of a hole. So I think that San Francisco has actually served well by not having steamrolled everybody in the playoffs.
They had that stretch about midway through the year where I was like, are they going to win anytime soon? They lost 3 in a row or whatever it was. Yeah.
Did you do any San Francisco games this year?
I did not have them at all, in fact.
Okay.
You know what? I never even watched them fully, except I was driving home from a game. Where was I? When the Browns were playing the 49ers. And I watched that on my laptop. Where was I? I can't even remember what game I had that week. But whoever I had, I remember that. But I don't. It's funny. Once you've done the sidelines, you have a different expectation of how well you should know a team.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen yourself on like NFL films because you're right there.
All the time. I get coaches sending me they're all 22, get out of the way here. What are you doing over there? Or there you are in the background of this. No, but you're talking about NFL films. So my 8-year-old is football obsessed, and he watches old videos all the time, trick plays and things like this. And he'll say, "Hey, Mommy, look, there you are." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's when I didn't have you yet, and I was so young and beautiful."
Oh my God.
My son, I've started getting white hairs, and every time I see one, I say, "Nico, you caused this," and he says to me, "No, Daddy caused that."
No. You know what? He at least knows the cause and effect. He knows the protocol. He knows how it goes.
Or he blames his sister.
Yeah.
Or he'll be like, when I'll sit here and I'll say, "What is that wrinkle?" He goes, "Oh, that's Kaya. That's her." It's never him. It's always somebody else.
Yeah. Your energy is amazing. Thank you very much. And
when there were candles at stake.
No.
You bring it.
This was a test.
Yeah, no.
To see if I could just turn it on when I was.
Eric Horton.
Tyler
Candle Company.
Yeah.
It is your candles from the Tyler Candle Company that drew me to this day. I haven't sat down anywhere. You know this, right?
No,
I was getting ready for my live shot, and I saw you guys across the room.
The patterns of the boxes and the candles and all that it's one of a kind, as is the fragrance.
And that's why it's so recognizable. I don't want to call it leopard print, but I still have that bag,
No,
too.
that's what I said earlier today.
I feel like I should text you a picture of that bag, which I still have. Yeah. And I don't, you get these bags and you use them for your groceries when you go to the Giant
Or
Eagle.
laundry when you're traveling.
Yes, but that one I don't, because I wanted to save it because it was such a memorable moment.
Yeah, there you go.
When I sat down and I disappointed the host so desperately because I wasn't Michael Irvin. And then I had the audacity to stand up. But I had the audacity to stand up and say, "I promise you, I was better than Michael would have been."
No, you were.
Hey, he has actually stood us up 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So
I would never stand you up, but you've also never invited me. I just kind of crashed the table.
You are welcome anytime. We could have Joe Montana here. I will punch him in the gut and throw him away.
Stop that.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. It's so good to see you.
A trip down memory lane that was fabulous. John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist, next on 365 Sports.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow @GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive in North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist's office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, here we go, 365 Sports. That was fun.
That was, yeah.
And the timing was perfect because we had a gap from when Nick Lowry and Clem were here, and thank God she dropped by. And as a couple of you mentioned, she has become a star on the NFL Network, and obviously CBS. Someone that is doing really, really well.
Yeah, but thanks to Didi Kinkbala for stopping by. She's so great. She's wonderful. She's and again, she said she's surprised. Well, I'm never going to forget it because it was one of the most embarrassing moments of our professional career that we were completely unprepared for something.
Well, we are prepared for this. John McClain joins us, Hall of Fame columnist, Hall of Fame voter with the Pro Football Hall of Fame and more. John, great to have you. If you don't mind, I want to start off with, you have always been so transparent and what you do. You have been amazing at what you do. You're a Hall of Famer for a reason. How is everything with you now after the news last week about the radio show?
Sports Radio 610, where I've been on for 24 years because they were the Texans' flagship. I've been on radio here 39 years in a row. I got laid off. I was writing 5 columns for the website. I was doing 3 podcasts for the website, 6 appearances, and the parent company's got problems. So I got laid off, and I sent 12 tweets about it. I've had so many people responding to that. And they were very classy. Let me talk about it on the rest of my shows last week and my podcast. My last one was at 4:00, and everybody thinks I'm out of work. And I still do 6 shows around the state and country, including you guys, plus a video with Mattress Mack, plus an appearance on Texans Radio, plus an appearance on KRIV TV, the Fox affiliate here. So I'm still busy talking about sports, and some people have reached out to me. I'm going to meet with them in the next couple of weeks, see what they got to say, see if I want to take another job like I was doing at Sports Radio 610.
John, here at Super Bowl week, and honestly, I know you've retired from coming to the Super Bowl, but it doesn't feel the same without you here. But it is this is such a weird kind of game when you talk about the 49ers are the favorites in the game, but everybody feels like they're going to pick the Chiefs because of number 15 on the other side. He's just been so great. How do you break down what you think we're going to see on Sunday night?
Well, I'm going to pick the Chiefs, not just because of Mahomes, because their defense is playing great. I mean, they have beaten Miami, one of the top offenses. They've beaten Buffalo, one of the top quarterbacks and offenses, plus Baltimore, one of the top offenses and best record and best running game. And Steve Spagnuolo has done a fantastic job with the Chiefs defense. Right now, they're not all about big numbers on offense. Patrick Mahomes, I think, is averaging 239 yards a game in the playoffs. Hasn't turned it over. Travis Kelce has been great. Rashee Rice has been better over the second half of the season, but they're not an explosive offensive team anymore. But they're all about defense. Now, the 49ers have more playmakers on offense, but if you think about it, if you look at the quarterback's mismatch, you look at Andy Reid, won multiple Super Bowls. Kyle Shanahan is not. Now, it's not a mismatch, but you got to give Reid the advantage. And even though the 49ers have a great front seven, their defense has not played as well as the Chiefs. You look at what happened to the 49ers, the Packers, and the Lions, they could easily have lost those games.
John, the Super Bowl in Vegas, we discussed this with you before, but this is where this was verboten. This, for one, they weren't ready for one, but this city that has exploded, the gambling part of it, and the fact they're hosting this. Now, the weather sucks because of that big front that's coming in or whatever that monstrous storm is on the West Coast. But how long did you think it would take before one day Las Vegas hosted a Super Bowl?
I never thought Las Vegas would host a Super Bowl because I never thought there'd be a franchise there. Of course, the NHL got in first with the Golden Knights, and they were good right away. Won a cup. People saw, wow, those fans are incredible. And it's that I know the mayor's talking about the A's need a new package or stay in Oakland. That could be grandstanding. I'm not sure. And I'm sure the Raiders would love to see the A's stay there. The NBA is going to come at some point. And it's been a great thing for all-star games. Now Super Bowl, if I'd known the rates were as cheap as they are, I might have come out there and come to Radio Row for about 5 days, and then come home and watch the game. But it's been fantastic for everybody. And the casinos are making so much money. So are the restaurants. And the thing about Vegas, once the Super Bowl leaves town, it's not going to be deathly quiet like it is in a lot of cities. It'll be like, okay, they're gone. The next one's here. And it's the same thing.
Yeah, you're right. This is a city where they could host the Super Bowl and you don't even know it. Or you'll see the signs and all that, but you don't really know it. And this stadium, Allegiant Stadium, first time I've seen it up close, is just, my God, it's like a Star Wars movie, the way it comes out of the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. John, since the last time we've talked to you, Dan Quinn has been named the head coach of the Commanders. He's taken Cliff Kingsbury as his offensive coordinator. What do you think about that move and for the Commanders to hire Dan Quinn in the first place and then bring on Clint Kingsbury?
I'm really surprised. My wife, who grew up there, is a diehard Redskins fan, won't even acknowledge the Commanders. She was out of the Cowboys defensive coordinator. My God, she went ballistic. How could they hire somebody from the Cowboys? You're in Washington. You don't hire somebody from the Cowboys. And I was telling some people that today, you haven't seen that in the media. It's always like, well, they settled for Dan Quinn. There were reports they called Bill Belichick before they hired Dan Quinn. And he's a really good guy. He did a great job with the Cowboys. People don't think about that last game. He did a terrible job, but it happens. And I thought getting Kingsbury's good. They're going to get a quarterback with a second pick unless they trade spots and take Caleb Williams first and Chicago takes Drake Mayer, Jake Daniels. And so I'm still surprised they did hire somebody from the Cowboys. How would Cowboys fans, what would they think if the Cowboys fired Mike McCarthy and they hired a coach who had been at Washington for several years? I don't think they'd like it.
No, I don't think they would either. And it's not the George Allen, Tom Landry years, or even when Gibbs and others, but it's different. But I'm of the point now that they have been so bad for so long that if they have somebody can help them walk and chew gum and win games, I don't care where they come from.
Well, I thought they were going to hire Ben Johnson. That was the word. Ben Johnson, the hottest coordinator. The Lions are so lucky they kept Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Usually you keep them 2 years and then you lose them. They're going to have them another year as coordinators. And that's great because it just doesn't happen very often. And but, you know what, it does look like they settled for Dan Quinn, but maybe he'll lead them back to the glory years of Joe Gibbs and they'll win a Super Bowl.
John, Ben McAdoo got hired on the Patriots staff. I'm kind of curious about him in particular because he was a head coach of the Giants. He's been an advisor. Now he's back. The journey of the coaches who go through what Ben McAdoo does, is it fair that they kind of get put in a box because of what happened when they were a head coach? Or is that just how it goes?
It didn't hurt Dan Quinn. There's a lot of guys that get fired and they get another chance. And usually you get another chance, you got to be with a good team and you got to be a coordinator who is acknowledged for doing a really good job, and your name needs to be in the spotlight like Dan Quinn has been every year. He's fortunate to have an offensive head coach. That means everybody knows he's running one side of the ball. And I thought he was going to Seattle. So Ben McAdoo was not a good head coach. Dan Quinn was. The Ben McAdoos of the world, they're dead. They got their 15 minutes of fame. They bombed out. And then they're going to go back to being assistants on their side of the ball and spend the rest of their careers hoping and praying for another opportunity to be a coach that's not going to come.
So what do you think about our good friend Scott Drew popping off after that game with Iowa State after a win? But it was such a crazy game. And I don't think anything he said was wrong, but you can't say it. He knew he was going to get fined, and so he does, but at least he said it.
Now, you're talking about Mack Rhoades, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you said Scott. I think it was good that he did it, and I think it's interesting Scott got kicked out because we know he didn't cuss. So what did he do? So, gosh darn it, too many times. But Mack Rhoades can afford it. I think he can afford it financially. I think he made a good point, speaking probably for every athletic director in the Big 12. Watching those games, watching triple overtime losses, watching the guys go the distance with 4.01 seconds at the buzzer, and it's hard on the heart. And it's going to be even harder next year when Arizona comes in, and you're going to see all these Big 12 teams with more losses than other teams in other conferences, but they're going to get better seedings because they know how difficult it is. It was Daniel Jeremiah, the NFL Network, who said the Big 12 is going to be like Thunderdome. And boy, he was right.
Yeah, and Kansas just had their fourth conference loss. That's like unheard of, and they're still halfway through the conference, and a lot of games still left to play. John, thank you as always. We love you, man.
My pleasure, guys. Sick 'em Bears. Thank
John
you.
McClain, Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame columnist with us on 365 Sports, and Paul Catalina at his top 5.
It's time for Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Texas Beef House. Where's the best beef in Texas? Your house when you order from Texas Beef House. Unleash the flavor of Texas-raised Wagyu. From our pasture to your plate, TexasBeefHouse.com.
Top 5 Super Bowl X Factor players. These are guys, some of these names you're going to recognize all the names, but look, it's not Mahomes and Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, the guys you know. There's one big name here, but I think he's still busting on the scene a little bit. But number 5, Kyle Juszczyk. he is used in a variety of different ways in the offense as the fullback. One of the few teams that really highlights it. Look, he made a huge catch for a first down in the game against the Lions. He makes plays all the time. He's kind of the last resort safety valve in a lot of routes and makes things happen. I just have a feeling, and look, the last time the 49ers won the Super Bowl, they had a fullback that wore number 44.
See, that's forever
Tom
ago.
Rathman.
Yeah.
And I think that if they do win, Kyle Juszczyk is going to make a play here or there that's key in the game. And in the Super Bowl, it's the little things that matter. And Kyle Juszczyk is the king of the little things for the 49ers offense.
And his wife is the king of the jackets.
Yes.
She's making these jackets for Taylor Swift and Kelsey, among others, and is incredibly popular and just got an NFL license where they don't give those away.
No, they don't. So, yes, Kyle Juszczyk, somebody you need to look out for. Number 4, Kansas City linebacker Willie Gay. Now, in the Baltimore game, his job was to spy on Lamar Jackson. He did a really good job on that. Now, he did suffer an injury and had to leave the game, but he's back. He did a job, kind of keeping Josh Allen in it, but he's fought through some injuries. He's going to be back. Now, Brock Purdy, obviously not as big a running threat as Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson as far as, both those guys can go 70 yards if you let them. But Brock showed last week or 2 weeks ago that he can be a guy who can run 20 yards for sure. And 20 yards is too much to give up at any time on defense. So he can go 20 yards. Willie Gay is going to be tasked with spying on Brock Purdy and making sure that he doesn't have those moments. Also, protecting the middle of the field against George Kittle and guys like, not to mention Deebo Samuel and all the weapons they'll have, and stopping Christian McCaffrey in the run game. But Willie Gay, someone I think, and look, if there was a dark horse candidate for MVP that would come out of nowhere, I'm going to say it's Willie Gay, because he's the guy on that defense who's going to make a play, and you're like, who's Willie Gay? The
only way
Dexter Jackson type guy.
That's the only way a defensive player is going to end up winning the MVP is if they run something back for a touchdown, which Dexter Jackson did, Larry Brown did, among others. The Cowboys had that famous Super Bowl when they lost, and yet, what was it, Chuck Howley and whoever else won, like, co-MVPs. You have to do that, though. You have to do something that is either the play of the game that ends the game, or you have to score somehow on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 3, Rashee Rice has become the number 1 wide receiver for the Chiefs, and if they're going to have success in this game, it's going to be because Rashee Rice makes plays, gets first downs, and possibly scores a touchdown. That is what is going to happen for the Chiefs to win this game. He's going to have to be a factor, and because you can't rely on any of the other wide receivers to be that factor. They've been unreliable all year. Now, they've played a little bit better in the postseason, but the Chiefs have one totally reliable wide receiver, and it is Rashee Rice. And I would say the second most reliable wide receiver is Justin Watson, and he's like the 5th guy. And the rest in between have been
But they're now catching. It's not even that they have to make crazy, spectacular plays, although the Scantling play that ended the game against the Bills on his back, they're catching the football. They weren't even doing that.
No, but he's the one.
But he's at a
I'll tell you, Rashee Rice year 2. Buy big on year 2 of Rashee Rice. One more year with Patrick Mahomes in that system, he's going to have a huge year. Plus, you would assume they're going to bring somebody else in there to kind of complement him a little bit. Number 2, Brandon Aiyuk. Look, had a fantastic year, an all-pro type year. He is the kind of unsung hero to me on the 49ers of being a star that fades into the background, because most of the talk is going to be about McCaffrey or Deebo or George Kittle or the quarterback and Brock Purdy, and it's not about Brandon Aiyuk, whose game is elevated each and every year of his career, and he had a huge year. He's a great blocker.
He's physical,
He's very physical, and he just doesn't mess around. And Kyle Shanahan, if you remember a couple years ago, kind of had to sit him down and get him out of his feelings, and that worked so well because he is just on the up. And you got one of the best 1-2 punches at wide receiver in the NFL in Deebo Samuel and Brandon Aiyuk.
And then they have those guys, and I know you're talking about the MVP, with Jennings, among a couple of others that will make a play when you not least expect it, but they're there to make a play.
But yeah, look, if you've taken all the other guys out of the play, Jawan Jennings is going to be there and get a first down. That's just kind of how their offense works. And number 1, defensive end George Karlaftis of the Chiefs. Look, he's first-round draft pick. He certainly lived up to that. He's had a really good year the last 2 years, but he now has it a little harder. He and Chris Jones have it a little harder in that Charles Menahu is not going to play in this game. Derek Nandi is not going to play in this game. That is 2 starters on the defensive line that are out. So the onus on Chris Jones, who might be the best defensive lineman in all of football right now. But George Karlaftis is the one who's going to get after and mostly make those plays, those game-changing sacks and all that, because of the effort they're going to focus on trying to take Chris Jones out of the game, because they need Chris Jones out of the game for Christian McCaffrey to be effective. But George Karlaftis should be is a huge X factor. He gets a couple sacks for the Chiefs. That can be a huge momentum swinger.
And what gets overlooked because of 15, Mahomes and Kelsey, is that the reason the Chiefs are where they are right now doesn't mean that they haven't been a major part of it, because when you have Mahomes, you're going to win, is the defense has been really solid throughout the year and has carried this team a lot more than people realize. And so we'll see what happens with them, the pressure they can get to Brock Purdy. All right, thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed a couple of like in and out type of including the interview we appreciated on the border and what's happening in Yuma, Arizona. That was with Nick Lowry and Chris Clem. And that's what we get here. It's like tomorrow, for example, if things go well, Jake Plummer, Dhani Jones, Nate Boyer, Darren Woodson, a couple of, I don't know if it's 1 or 2 pilots from the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds. Also, let's see, Bill Miller on the gaming the gaming association and all that's going on. So we have a lot to get to tomorrow, and we will. Emery, Winter, thank you for all of what you do behind the scenes, but also in front of the scenes. Garrett Ross juggling the microphones and headsets and different guests and more. Thanks to all of our great sponsors, Allen Samuels House of Travel, for putting us in the Airbnb and taking care of our flights and travel, along with, you've heard, Don Humidor and Eric Horton with product here on our desk. For Paul Catalina, our great sponsors, Craig's back in Waco, National Signing Day tomorrow. We'll have some of that coverage too. I'm David Smoak. Have a great night. Good night from Vegas.
Ideal MRI is a small